Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh and the eminent members of his committee, as well as the secretariat of the committee, for the excellent work done for our dear country and its citizens. Their names will forever be etched with indelible ink in the annals of Ghanaian history. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, and my fellow countrymen and women, I wish to make it clear from the outset that this is not a government white paper. The reason is that the work of the committee was not, technically speaking, the work of a commission of inquiry pursuant to Chapter 23 of the Constitution of the Republic. If that were the case, government would have had a constitutional obligation to either publish the report of the commission of inquiry together with a white paper prosecution, or give reasons why it would not publish the report of the commission or committee of inquiry. The position of government in respect of the recommendations of the committee is formulated in three ways. One, either we are accepting, that is, government is accepting, or two, it is accepting in principle subject to modification, or three, it is rejecting outright the recommendation of the committee in that she was the proper subject for extradition. And that is all that I will say for now. Prosecution to file opposing the appeal, because we believe that the High Court judgment had merit. Now, with this judgment, I have also directed the Director of Public Prosecutions to file a notice of appeal and apply for stay of execution, meaning that if the stay is granted, the status quo will prevail until such a time that the Supreme Court has had time to review the appeal and then made a determination. So that is all that I can say for now. I have a soft copy of the judgment. I'm yet to peruse it and then come to a firm conclusion as to what will be our grounds of appeal. But I want to emphasize that I believe that the judgment of the High Court had merit, and that the United States District Court that extradited her to Ghana had a basis for making a determination. On behalf of the government of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, I wish to thank Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh and the eminent members of his committee, as well as the secretariat of the committee, for the excellent work done for our dear country and its citizens. Their names will forever be etched with indelible ink in the annals of Ghanaian history. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, and my fellow countrymen and women, I wish to make it clear from the outset that this is not a government white paper. In formulating the position on the final recommendations of the committee, government examined each recommendation against the relevant provisions of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana to assess the nature, scope, and implications of the proposed amendment. Each recommendation was then subjected to rigorous constitutional and legal analysis, including whether it touched on entrenched or non-entrenched provisions of the Constitution, and whether its underlying objective could be achieved through other legislative or administrative means. We also examined the recommendations in light of the work of prior constitutional reform commissions or committees, such as the report of the 2010 Constitution Review Commission, in order to ensure continuity and consistency in the reform process. As I've noted earlier, when I submitted a draft position paper to Cabinet, extensive deliberations were held and each recommendation was interrogated, weighed against the practical experiences of our country, and refined before Cabinet granted approval to this position paper. I have underscored the importance of this process in order to highlight the fact that the position paper being published today is not the product of one ministry or one department of government or a group of technocrats sitting somewhere in a corner and working at it. On the contrary, it is the product of the considered thoughts of the men and women who have been given the honor by
Right, mame Emma watching once again. Memma wakwaba Emra W'asem Yie so ewo Onia TV so. Me the speaker Kwame Appiah Kobiano pay. We are highly grateful across the country. Maybe I will share free biano. Yam watching Emma wakwaba once again. Now what trading in no akọ na babe CBM na ehun ebehia se nkomodi ahodo a akọ within the week. The details of it ni nyina no e de besomo na anope yetime ene odi nkomo. But before that, mame en wish mu nyina a very big happy new month and first August 2026 enti yatena see we make sure say anope issues na what ni mu nyina no etime abano ye no ebedi ho enkomo. But just to recap na what mu ana Supreme Court a ruling yes political parties delegate system omo ede adwuma they should allow for every registered member of a political party to be able to vote and then be part of a decision making within the political parties. Now the implications and consequences for a political parties reorganization activities are omo edi omonsa akokani nyina no eno ho nkomo anope ye no ebedi. Now we stay with the court again. It's answer the Court of Appeal within this week akwete a mame sedinam tamakulo we him say I mean in 2024 there was a case filed in the High Court, the Court of First Instance. Now after Sir Aseni ekokosi even in the absence of a year Sedinam Tamakulo no court a release Sedinam and serve a jail term and a prison term of 10 years. But regardless of that particular judgment, Court of Appeal overturn the High Court in 2024. And we come to you with a very much details you better me anywhere the home and kobona afesu yehunubia na ewohono yetimi any watch. It looks more of a backlash for the government of the day, but already the legal person Ojinaho Emma buying the Attorney General and Minister for Justice as serving indications that office is ensuring Omo Ebe file an appeal to the Supreme Court on this particular ruling from the Court of Appeal. And anope be the home come extensively na afi wetimi atia say over 75 count yede bo Sedinam Tamakulo no and within the week Court of Appeal overturning all those counts, some of which causing financial loss to the state. The other one stealing from Maslock. Now we'll give you a background to the Maslock story. Any baby are you free, any baby are Sedinam Tamakulo so Abba Bedru. Now we'll tell you more about the latest development about the Constitutional Review Committee said Kaseno Unim said President Mahama as of last year at a Constitutional Review Committee said Omubetimi Atinase. Now for the past 34 years of Ghana's Fourth Republic, experiencing the 1992 Constitution, it has come clearly under several criticism. But before bebre na no so actually wo mo adwen kwan ya befa so a ye democracy and as a kabima men kabi ye kɔ ye nim ebetimi aye adwuma ye na afi igina mraso ebetimi aye se ebetimi aboa ma development so abo ma enim aban issue the position on the Constitutional Review Committee recommendations the aban agiatumu so far anope ebeko into it na afi so in principle the aban agitum but osanso ewo honim dia na se owa adwen bi se esese yetimi yemu nsachae kakra no ni nyina nso anope beche ene niema ni bia aban anyantum kra will bring you all the details ewo W'asem Yie anope eso enti stay with us across the country pacho mo join yen on a year DSTV and afi Go TV nyina no yema mu nyina ache na yema mu nyina akwaba once again ma yen try e huti a wamra ye ba I will introduce to you my guest na ye frase Edin Komo.
Onua Group yene afahye de wubo adwumakuo baako pa ye wo men yi mu Onua group yene afahye de ubo adwumakuo ba ko pa ye wo men
Afia Chemo, communities Nina, Edwam Ho Echimu, Omodo team and a buy. Jaman Sudie, Omo Wexley, Omodia Hortes no Kubi and a buy. Omina, Ebetra Adia Bako, Community Bay and a new link no boy yepa. No Nia Emma Omina, Aquenia. Now Kikano Ayasronko, now born more yepa. I feel idea, Onia Atina Community League no, Asa View. I feel dear, yes, sister Yomokra, and Nijan Mubaya yepa. Abasu Podia Pepre. Communities ahodo bebre aye crowd of safi omodo ho ba timubi when aye o mantemu umrantie wadofo wutin ene wo mre so community awa tomache de edi bo board ya ene wo mre ni o entina fie emfa won san sha odamru fam emmeke wanum keke bomode na fa team ebeka ho ebi na register sasia ewo 0233321855 and as 0277551448 na balloting enche ebetopom onia link no asaba wo community aya kradwa na asem bisale se utim why ready onia atina community link ebekoso live ewo downtown park ewola eviti 1st of August ekosi 30th of August onia atina community link wana waso asay eye atina NLA didida onia atina community link bia communities ahodo edi akukudro edi agro
Onua group yene afahye de ubo adwumakuo ba ko pa ye wo men yi mu Onua group yene afahye de ubo adwumakuo ba ko pa ye wo men Onua group yene afahye de ubo adwumakuo ba ko pa ye wo men yi mu
Mamemu akwaba bi emra ka W'asem Yie so now yatena see no na watwe mu nkomo ni nyina no ana yede bro but within the week something interesting akoso in our body politicking now the member of parliament Edema the good people of Akemoda the honorable Alexander Akwesi Akwa has come under serious attack now before that decision and before that activity happened here nankomodie bi akoso the honorable Akwesi Akwa allege say Akemoda municipal chief executive and district chief executive omampanyin ayino no in the district no of facilitate galamsey ama galamsey operation no ababeye very remarkable say oba Akemoda and Mpatemwa. Now, quite interestingly, the DCE for the area no are responding, but my entry footage way Emra Yaba may introduce my guest nama na afeyene the honorable Alexander Akwesi Akwa nso edin komo. My entry way Emra.
Filiampo, the chair of Sana Mount. Asafia, bi mu abena wo sen this was ya mongolo wo sen if you awo kutukuba mu na mo na no mo ma din sa wo abena ke sia ba din sa ana ya kutu wo sen na no pay mo ba ku ra ku na yedi kan no the strength of so yi enen kan ko ma kuma ene o ma bi se na no pay ni na no ma na e ni bile so esa ne se America pay ni o ma mpeni de bo mi na me mo Green Central ni fe bi afa o abo mu timu kote o be kan sema e ko no bi titi uni mra kubi jeni ya udi ma ti mo da o ra ko ti afa ni nsama o kan se e ni ni kusi bra kwa bi gina ha yi me boa e ma galamsi e ko so e wo Green Central e mo le ko wa no se nana no se o ra le na ko ti afa ni nsama o kan no se eye no kre se me ni kusi bra kon boa ma galamsi me ya galamsi me de galamsi fika ese mi botom enam so ema nsu e wo krum ha esei ema edika adehia nana no muni ni nemo mu no ensema a wo ka no se e busirimu ka se e bo apayo e na waye na adwin so bu mani ma ase na ma me ho abatan e wo ma mpani ani ama ma djuma hweme ama yedi a me pese ba krom ha se abokrom ani ya ana no muni ni ndi
tioti jampa
Arano munana me bahanu na no kaya na enye bia na me be nemo mu no kre na me say dead na endra emi say kasafidie so no eye mra se be gani onam owo krumu ase e ka se nsu a owo krumu anu se tumi bia ni mu nana no edumre se mu stresse tumi die ebi wo mu asa se mi kusi bra ku nana no e pese no kura de di wo sa ase mu wi se asema a waka to me so se no kura se me ye galam se na be ka nana no me sa ka ti bi se me ye galam se me de galam se fika me boa e me se wo ko ma se ya na mu ni ndi ne mo mu no sa asema no so ka no se no kura e bo se bu kan no pese oguma ni mo ase o se me no ogumi hu fi na ma me ba tan nana no mo ma ni mu ase o ma ni ho nedi nana no me free me ya bofra e na me na chambe den no de me bensu mu ha e be som mo me am gina ha no mu sei e ma me Kristo mo ti mo Kristo mo ya so me gina na no mu tutu anu ti na me kwala bre mu na no me na chambe den de me som mo ya sama esi no me pemu kwen mo ma no kwen na di nana no mo ma no kwen na di e ye huri o kan no kwen ane di obu obi mu nana no fa me ba ya mama ni sapan ikwa mi jaya bia se monye na esufia ene fia de yi one nana no eno ne yede mamo na yewie nso a buda di wie nso a asede e wachi no yede bebre mo nana no medamo mo isa mo kasa ofia ai din na nana mane yaduma.
Now, this is the point, your politics, you know, Abba Bedrus say, arguably, this is a DC, ya alleges or you're involved with Galamsey, ewo akemoda na ofri se SSA duabo ana obetimi e de sign it. The Solomon Kusi Brakon. We'll try our best and then reach out to him. But before I make call line, so Mamima, the Honorable Simon Ampa being chairman, or no Brekum East in Rasha Bedwani on the ticket of the NDC. Honorable, good morning. Empom to say.
Good morning, Minia. Yamiadum, me hoye.
Brekum Boko there.
Nyame adaroma bibia ye boko
very well
nyame ne yera mahama adaroma bibia dadin
parliament arising within the week, right?
Yes, Endra
enti say no more constituency akoye adwuma kakra.
That's right.
but munim da mo beba as we speak. Okay. All right. Mame Emma Benjamin Insia, Executive Director Edema, the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy Action. Na memano akwaba semse. Ben, good morning.
Good morning, Minia.
Na enema mo te saying?
Na me de achayen.
Na what na ko ye?
Oh, anko ye krom. My koye.
Very well. And see, gentlemen, hold on for me. Na menko ahomane somra. Na mene orobo wan kasa unuane no wamra shebedwem. Akimo damra shebedweni Alexander Kwesiakwa on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party and ne ho aba sem. In fact, akanka se Rebecca say ye de ageno, right? Ya body dua anu odin pa. Orobo otemenka, good morning. And yema mo to say
Zika, Yamiado Mehoye, Mema Chenso.
I don't pay me Joso, I have 48 phone and so Joso. But quite unfortunate, Ebane saying that Yababe drew baby, I drew Adope. There was an instance of Woody Kai allege say UDC facilitated or you're quite involved with Galamsey. I don't know how Uputi will commentary, no, but the year when they clearly know the DC is not happy about it, and they wakon sukesi mwakobo die.
So sika bidase ene kwanya odi amamia bede chairman semo make up W'asem Yie minyaya na ka mo studio hono mo be boma baso se ni mo dwedie no betimi akwemu a amze mu be a foundation
member exactly
makwemu one of the watched programs, best watched programs in the weekend. Now the woman here afini yakwafe by September mu and I may intercept audio to be a free NDC for branch penny for behold.
Okay.
Omo accuse MC and say omo Galamsey and MC no abachi o majeji o musika. Obaji o musika wie ya no 9 months SI about operations watching that. And the MC na directing 9 months about home. Ebeche warm. Into Bufumu and almost expression of displeasure. Internal party matters. And Mesaka audio nibi. Mesaka audio nibi. And I said, delegate quite a decay a publish here. To publish here after MC in the year press conference.
Okay.
And watch the receipts. Oji yeno oma odema and for not just quickly no MC no ebeji to musa ampower jiska but ojima ban e hono na be interested am say that day asim na se be need ntina ho ma sa me fa for the constituency district no and municipality no ni kwan say what tisike bia if illegal miners ho albeit say odema abayimpo enyem na kwanso no me start here say me aban enye hwemu be kano afimu ni obey September mu
okay
no ya body minority caucus also be a deputy ranking for local government no deputy ranking for local government committee any minority leadership be a press conference outside here asking the government to investigate this one obia ankare anchire. In fact, about na akoye otan ama many MC constituency one municipality or the sending home. Yes, say project I may any MPB any sabe on the MC something I was in it here and I say that also was in it here sending home. But na wakota say me make a trap no so. Ntina yemu nsɛmno ɛnyɛ adwuma ɔkasa no makasa ɛyɛ ban refusal sɛ ɔmpɛ sɛ ɔbɛ investigate saa deɛ wei no ɛna ɛha me because sɛbe yɛ anakɔyɛ his word against my word na anytime biara ɛbɛbɔ Galamsey nsɛm so biara no me evidence a mewɔ sɛ aban ɔte so nkurɔfoɔ bi yɛ Galamsey na masite no because media me kura me evidence no
okay.
As deputy ranking for local government, so no, Galamsey Semoba among the student assembly, but say a Manchester Central by. I was on a lot of panel discussing it. Do you hear the media made the best Kamubi? And I say, you go in massive. And I say, So me go in Masia, all I'm doing is me pese a buying and investigate because apart from receipt no they buy you know. Me and Miss Apeche investigations in who say a penny pa to come qualify. Nyam come up by initially. I'm the main cry you know and oh yes I watch the receipt. It think further investigation bit me actually be basic canon a call yeah. And the kick home. Not fee, yes,
Honorable Sasikano, Sika Benya. Is it, I mean, by local bylaws, no, a 2 SSO Mojiji, and I say a constituted there?
May war receipt, receipt, what you say, being fined for illegal mining.
Okay.
Sana receipt now or the chair, no kind of my receipt in the Bonting, Sana or Troy. Inti. Me no de kind. Not the per se ye share say on my mrano and back my MCB and now say assembly B or say no G and assembly in G. But what I head of the assembly into the mark and audio say when you answer no and man is a walk and our from and our GG's can if you more.
Okay.
Into the assembly said no say assembly Nigeria into on my mrano my assembly B this can be illegal. -1 something adia ye nyina ya fa ne say as a sexual threat na ye wage war against it no we are then benefit from it as an assembly and adia we akwa bedu sa pepe so be afini aban enya wohwe na ono so a me no me wo evidence say ono na ojiska no na ka me expect say be ode me be court na menya kwan akamasem ni actually yasemu because that and then we know a crime no say but petition local government minister but petition the presidency officially I have copies of those petitions ni na menya response bakumpo nemo aban pen for share me oh we dey have a copy matter so ka have me am copy we dey copy no be one obi anka ohwe be su sabre e be do be die na e bi ka so mse ni ntwa so e me nwa kuma me ntwa so but me hwe eniema wogusu yes of course me good in ma I still insist to say investigative bodies any investigation na yen hwe baby asemneda because the baby baby no now I incite I am for granny youth in my constituency against me because
but yes one would ask for instance MC you know allegedly Ajisika edia free illegal miners right watro receipt edia ma such an allegation no quite different from say Ebia Yabeka say or you're actively involved in Galamsey. So that allegation no did it come from you? Say or you're mining or you're Galamsey ana?
Niamema can say or then what for the Galamsey.
Okay.
No sana mekano. But for me say or facilitate Galamsey.
Okay.
Because Oji Omusikano, the miners were now emboldened to go back and do their mining. And 9 months back operation war. But because 9 months had their intelligence, he didn't have any option than say, Obetre, 9 months say, a no more yet, that I'm saying.
Okay.
In Jomo Kwache and Crofono She or machines, a che woman, and a ma a buffo by it, a OMC, what about the Jessica? Watch a boss a young Gongoya Juma, no money. Na ya den na 9 months back bodyguard SID kind eventually baby a juma. So that was when ma audio so epie enti atem na kobaya afedie na utie enwa de na all ye no de all kan say me pese na ho bakai wo mampani so a what is we minim say what one pe Galamsey na emuano na yanku Galamsey it is mum de me hwehwe ne say academic nyina no mampani enhwe no investigate because mampani no we an appointee of the WhatsApp mampani wo position or say MCs DCs and the government appointees no na omoye Galamsey no and mampani betra konya so wakase echine bi eni wono mo say ne crop so Galamsey. It is okay we in Abumwa. Being in this man, Penny Basoria, where you would say, Obi say, we are Galamsey, or Beshimo. Sanshi Mono, and a baby. Say if you want me not mean some of me war, any me evidence of me want to be the trigger. Now on my penny in mine and say, and so in Nimu until what shall I good in Marcia. I chop a dear also the baby out the back would be a was a medicine will be a mayor.
Okay.
But maybe give me cra any evidence of the war. Any be beer naturally say, oh yeah, and if you are way by year a cover. Me won't crop for our friend, say, now go in the handle. Because me could have a jibiska. Look, I say, now all Nipano, one person be bounty because I be so no could say, or ye legal mining, or no plano, ye criminal. And then one more or church to receipt in my woman Yanano. Say, Assemba, by ye car. Woman Yanano, and who be quite because on paper, no, on what you have to say, you are an illegal miner and our final. Illegal mining should say a crime. Yemma MC an assembly and fine assembly need to me no wakasa no asha honom no je or chi illegal miners wa fine womo na waje sika womo ho. No. But I can tell you say buying any investigative bodies no ebenya so etie na America no so almost say you serious so be to galamsi asia ekebe bo and they be a union or DMC, you know, the guy will be Jaya, which I
now, before Memo Wakona Sanya de Bessino, now, dear boy, no, any in some woman and son, ye go any giant, ye did that, semi idea, you know, religiously, to me and funny trasa. Between any and then at the end of such a situation or your MC Nakasa, you are an ex-official member of the assembly and we know Aquacobani say you know and I'm more ben I would to the Alpha so far.
Yamia Christoni Yamia and somewhat may come going in us war.
Okay.
And no because 2 Proverbs 26 verses 2. Diabo anasa no me any nyinaso enye adwuma na mutie binua no ka numsempo ne na no mo ka o say se wo pa mo samo people review o say ensemo a me kan mo ne ade nyina no se eyampa na nanu mo ene me mo ne ni wanka se mo ne mi o mutie o de ni bia mutie ma sa bobiu se de be ke nyina yampa mpa na nanu mo ene mi ni Enya Francois na nanom enemy ni dedika no they toss me that's ono watwe ne hofi mu because enka obi be dwen say or car say eyam papa say they make na ya pa de na namo ene ono ni but one can say uti abu so say ono mi ni ti mi ni na obu egum so dedika no they toss me no binia one na ni abre say wo bodua na said in his capacity as municipal chief executive as crude as his act is. Okoche camera esiso. Yo bia ekra de nyame no bia nyina ho. Obia nim se no bia so no nyame. Sabe me call me wait me ya me fast me ya makwankyere bi me ya makwankyere bia. Ye ni pe nyina na be mo me hu me be be na me ye. Obia so a wo so mbosomo ko ba bibia ne ade bia no. Wo be ye ne boko ayere di. Na otwe camera ti so na wie sade sende para. Miniano or the amount for drink in the Adiacro. Adiano, baby Akudrono, as of last week, I won't to me as I'm the buy, ya can't say, now won't to me what facilitating mining, one for them 20 years. Now, being so evidentially, I will on what you to say, I am a geomusica, na assembly by law. No, Emra, I want my Muhano, engine to say, into the assembly, my by law say, on mine. Emra kasi say illegal mining ya prano assembly be to maka so media ya shemra so moye mine illegal mining no ya de beji muska ni adia eno no enyeme na beka eyemra kasi say me na so be jani ntiro edu mra semwa o se so mitimi kabi maybe be gidi me nyin this etisa but investigative bodies ni ade no o say woman so etimi ekabi ntino say o de sa dia bonu semno aba o kaka ni ade na de hia ene say ebetie emu se na etie na yenya enkyeremu ni ade me de na me fo say nka wore be court say me gu ne ho fe na menya kwan de me nkrata enemy nyama nyina
there be say officer we no ebeye ntem say no krebi wo ma na say no krebia anymore gidie ne say as eduabo ne de ekontem obenya quick action rather than say trial no be go through a very long length and sana ebia court no etime decide but regardless of that yes
to me kwano on municipal security council. When I municipal security council head, what you make catch a police commander? Police commander, at some way you did to Mr. Misremo, we invite MP. Na on fan dancing namra, na yenya semano, and I said, Moshana Seme, Wasem, prosecute me. Wasem in Nimua, Mudia, Mumma, MP, was with Gumi when Massey. He has all the right to do that. When money in Yama, because you see, if you are born in your scientific, a B cassette. A guy not required when Chegano on camera. A Bian said will be
Nankasa so Chegano on camera.
Oh, so what will sound on camera, dear? Chegano on camera, near who's with you, Muja. So I see Gana Bachelor. Ojansu de Kobodia and Fantushum Yicha. What I say, and now a be analyzing your kind who say. And something and meaning that will book so. But I would just now would himself who did cry. Like what I said, say the MP cano, a yatronia did a yampa, not be beer woman said that Udiga canwa. Money make any a yawono, but one now said, a yampo, say yampo.
And so we know, we know aquacoya end to end, diabo entino, of free assassin now or the Joe, and we so no or the Joe encrypted, very encrypted.
Nanano mo in the Nanano Yeta, Nanano Diasemo, Nanano Ediasemo, Adia or yet, would Nimsawaye, would pass away. He cannot pretend. And he said, well, Canacania Bria, a content, I saw the Joe, no, and or no, any. But one can say, now the winner, so Nimi as idea, Nanamo Montias, because Nanamo Pedia body a yes, you know. I see.
But finally, regardless, no, Oberfriend one Nanamo anymore now.
I mean, you know, okay, dear, my father say, or yeah, a buying clutch, a buying them singing, a buying should take interest in what is happening. So I buy Koswa Yansha make us a few more new September last year. Nansemi PPA. August move. It is a buy Koswa Yansha Hines as a radio so Yanka me evidence audios no just a meaning radio station audios in Kohoda. Yeah, alcohol. Nani Nano or that so one Mugusu ye and then Yano. I have some audios material sending what will be a frame. I can say the fee. Ye two galam say Mamma da was Macompi, like galam say Kosovo, not MC Yinason, where you need say and fan somewhere. And then I may as soon as we become on the two more.
Okay, Mamma, and now I say now, young founds here. We wish you all the best and we wish and nam way suma bibiano and happy to you. And Yadim Paibo Etawachi, Nyami Adam Swat next week. We'll be glad to have you on the show. Why? Yamin Shao. And Akimodam Rashebegani on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party, the Honorable Alexander Akwesi Akwa Ana Yedeno Eddie and Komono. Enti ne MC you know abonidua na boys they say the abono ye end to end and scripted both teams to score. Enti eno Akwesi Akwa boys no say omu twa bet to the tree so anka duabono end to end. Honorable Mame Emra was so na we yem Rashebegani na yenim say Rashebegafo no moye ex-official members of the assembly and gladly no I mean be a course within the assembly now munye happy about it more akwenya say monso betimi akanwase but before that mamema Dr. Hayford Irakwa Ache na mema no akwaba he's a lecturer with the University of Ghana also a senior fellow at the African Policy Lens. They say, you know, ni jumedia dos untina mente hono. Doc, good morning.
Speaker.
Now, any moment to say,
oh, what you do?
Your human write-ups, no, any money mana more, no, na ye gusunso a ye follow APL. But I hope, sir, the be able call.
o nyankopon adom amambo ne sa na tie sempanyifo se wa wo twasa na onim se wachi
okay
enti ubetimi atwen panyifo adwen ase bibi so na wotie na so pamu a eboa ubeka ise gold boy Bank of Ghana and stand bebre bia na ba mrebi at least wotie na so pamu ama ene yekoyanim botai ne se bebo man chichire
okay
Ghana
okay but mo out here naba Monsa can respond.
Oh yeah, my response.
Somewhere last 2 weeks, me who another one be an
say almost fire
it was to Gold Board, right?
Gold Board, yes.
Okay.
Gold Board. Minerals Commission.
Minerals Commission. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. We'll come there. Now yeah, the home combo. But maybe I share on si free and you know, I'll begin with the honorable member of parliament because we're not quite casualty here as a member of parliament. Baby and say and everybody side in the future until 1 year na obi di duaboni ade e dia bem or your colleague and the aboni dua but ono say the believe unti or you okay but mami nti kakra on this particular one na afeyemra the substantive issues.
Mr. Speaker, mame na was here for having me on your show. Na me fanchi PSA and chairman and then chairman Pemasidu Emma Adeshia nena nanome Obrekum East. My for you na channel minim say radiadum obi a
our voice ne wo form kakrantia na wapejam kakra
ye chia de share wo brekum east na nanom ne mpanimfo wo de ma obi a chia no minim say radiadum obi a hoye ye da omo ase da bia e say omo adaroma na yenya kwanya se beso my Ghana say mra she bedwani. Having said that, menu amemra menu Alexander Kofi Akwa asam no so
Kosi
Akwa asam no so na ade ba ko a metie ne nkasa emu na hamekakra yes o se onya audio bi free NDC fo a ewo ho na ofo say no ye evidence. Audio alone cannot constitute evidence. In the Evidence Act Oyemrashe Bedwani 1975, just audio alone cannot constitute evidence, especially when it's a third-party audio. And Mr. Speaker, sir, me case see as Matthew do be say oye kromfo. Does that constitute evidence oye kromfo na?
No, there's a court in the prove.
Fantastic. So you don't say that is an evidence. The atosubium, minua oye beneficiary of the law. I make DC ya oho. Enamum raso na mampani abonedi. Say ombesom akemodafo enti obia woni gidie even though I will not move on that path say mebodua e dey seek justice me feel say obia you beneficiary of the law there nanka wa kwanya in the law. There's a whole space within the law say me pa there and say the national chairman NDC kan no nka mesiu no damages na magiska bi na matro dan ho kwase binti.
I see.
Yes, because me jitum say menye galamsey say me ameti here me nsa ho so hu a menye galamsey da men mempe na e bomb me na me fight no say obeka kire me say Simon Pa bin kire me eye galamsey a wadom me na no asa me pagya na me de wa court na court na
prove case.
Okay. And then again, in your criminal procedure, no, so catch will be say or your cromfo now, so the BB tono, so the bed no proof, no lies with you. And a very simple means and can mean you and bit me a faso. Na court at me a can say maybe a man. But as usual, on say, oh my Ghana, your woman, your war, freedom of religion.
Yeah.
Said the decrease to some tumuno, about some so can.
But we know, Diana or Bono or say or your Christoni. Ne mami e Christoni but osanji nananom di.
Yes.
Okay.
Enti obia wo ho kwan se som bia wo gidie wo mu no osom. Enti bia na ono na dwene mo fo se ye yusu nananom no aye the quicker and faster way of getting justice.
I see. Enti eno no chese modua ne ko unua.
Oh no. I made it very clear say I would not have taken that path because menje eno ni. Ena me ya sorry Church of Pentecost. Enti menjidu ya bone abosonsom no eni.
I see.
Enti nka media nka would have taken the legal path. Eno no be mama kwanya ama masomra se badwani ne kon na ma yire ne wentin ama na de adanse aba because otu asem o kan ya na adanse o wo no ye say receipt a ya tro ene audio a NDC fo bi ka ho asem so wasem foforo bi ade so
MC na nkasa ye press conference admit ye say wajisika from certain illegal miners
say MC no ankasa feel say onim de ye kan hu bi na wajisika from illegal miners ho na said ye na all kan so ye certain so de ya ene na ho no ane ho but I believe that say we penny a wo da kura no na wo set example you must set a very good example.
Okay.
Say on kanche o manfo se bibia si abodua kum obi na mom wo be famra kwan no ma wo kwanya be ye MC no because na momra so na be ye MC na wanya sa tumi no a wo de ye de wo ye no and this bibia si na nkoyi na wo ne nipa no nya adwea me feel say the best way for me if you ask me my candid and forthright opinion is enka obe take the legal part instead of say it doesn't show a very good precedence.
Okay. Very well. Ben, Mamintio Kakra on this. Or the oil traditionalist, enti. Mamintio Pierre. Mamintio.
Because two institutions are yet view of power groma. So meet here, Honorable Alexander Akwano. I was me na me person meeting and say my petition Yoko.
Okay.
My petition CID. My petition Shraj based on in court evidence na me wono.
Okay.
Manti biasa. Right? The meeting and say makani radio so me can say all facility. Now so what you say all facility here? I think even Alexander Akwa so correct facility I'm say.
Oh how?
No, but say what him say MUDC. What he say all facilitating girl I'm say. No one to me and petition any of the investigative bodies. Now na radio so honorable now you honorable man. I think that yeah fast 7 years serious. Now on the other issue say MC you know so the me president in TB amu de beche no but san come president on so be free. You see perception is very critical in any of strategy be taken. Perception is very critical. Senior honorable Chemekai so DC na ususiye mu no the justice system cannot give you justice. But spiritual system, they want justice. Then you are not supposed to even be there.
Yeah, you are not supposed to be.
You are not DC. You are not supposed to be there.
The Lord that brought you there.
You are not supposed to be there
because you work with the law. I'm running out there, you man.
You see, me find spiritually. Do you abandon? They say, "Oh, I'm casting the penny." Because it is all casting. Wakoboni, do I think he was seeking justice or he's seeking justice from the spiritual realm, right? But court war. Court no me obey DC. In this ususu mu no court no ntimi more justice then you are not supposed to be there. He's just exposing some of the issues that he raised about the court system and he has affirmed it. So on the court ni what is just done no. DC no the why nya so on the court ni.
Onye mrani ni say obenya justice from the law.
That is it. Onye mrani ni. This DC that onye mrani ya. Come here and you with you.
Because I'm run out the air.
Alexander Akwa has failed us because as an MP, no also the court and also the petition investigative bodies. One yet. Also, I had the Adinabeto for court and security dress. No, also when the court you need to be paid the above. So I think that both are failing. But on the serious note, I think we should be affected Akimoda, the constituency. Either the district or the constituency affect you. Because two important stakeholders and our leaders of more constituency as Omonka. I don't even think says I'm Kamoka Krana and Casimisi about Befrebako. So how do you promote development in your district and constituency when you are at loggerheads? And why the baby? I came out for a break. So, from the other perspective, and he says spiritual, the abonned and then some I'm just seeing it said or more critical perception say both parties don't even believe in our justice system. Because MP GD and Kodbeko Yoko are now of the investigative bodies. No Mako
if there is any substantial evidence,
especially say all mention say he's part of the local government committee. Because I say we commit to raise
deputy ranking.
We to raise even local government minister and rural development say assume say na yes or
make a statement.
Make a statement in parliament. Oh, the radio. And I think that these days the MPs are learning because radio has become very sensational. Until you almost know, as 70 bar, but MPR, you are supposed to be honorable. You are supposed to understand. Me say, minimum law now, come if I want a lawyer. Maybe I have a problem with you people.
Being a lawyer.
That's your lawyer. Me, I have a problem with you anyway. That's a lawyer. I have a problem with the law and how the lawyers practice a lot of things.
The fraud that you know, they have grown here in the crowd.
Oh, ready, on your brother, ready. Oh, aren't you coming?
Punchline to me, my dear Ben. I know
the so we may cast out here. Say, seminal mummy in our failing, and this one panity and DC na failing. And you know, the DC NG justice system in the Oman courts never been on drain now.
Okay.
Now say, Nananum nebate me, I'm on a position where some I do, and another way. Coming, oh, coming. Oh, yeah, we are not. I'm not there. So I'm not next year. Don't you know bet me about, but some year, I'm not bet my position or
someone do the same way.
I see.
Wow. I think that President Sakeno, he doesn't qualify to be a leader. A leader. No,
okay. I'm right, Dr. Ira Kwaso. Doc, I mean, on this, Kakra, na afe yemra the other issues.
See that, yeah, anytime. Senate Honorable Alexander Akwa, Nenkra to Muno can say, we petition the local government minister and we petition the president, but on T, Onyamwe BI. I mean, interview yesterday, he mentioned that. And he said, why yes, I think I was saying that or expected a constituting investigation into that. That's not what I heard.
Okay.
I heard a different thing. Say, we're petitioning the local government minister and about president to say, feedback cry a BMI.
Okay.
Wow. He mentioned that in his submission. Our interview to say, so your producers can double check that. But so we're petitioning not and pass feedback BMI. Then it's a source of concern.
And he says it's been a year now from last year September. And was started say all can we W'asem. Again, he goes further to make the point say minority in Accra no are press conferences on this calling for some level of accountability.
Eti na make sense to say in fact Casey near yes beside on say so am para say Onyanfo for now or atmodan omo the bylaw bi ba ya o ma ho kwan se onipa amfa kwan paso etu sika kokko e wo won sase ne won persuasion no woje won tuo bi ana.
Okay, so for the purposes of clarity, the producers have double checked the okay, so akwase we petition president.
Correct.
Again, we petition the local government minister.
Correct.
And a minority leadership and so are raising on the floor of parliament.
Exactly.
Aside that, you know, a constituency in his own constituency, so a petition Shraj, yet Shraj acted on it. And for the purposes of clarity, that is the
that is what I heard.
Yes, that is what you heard.
All right, thank you for confirming. And Nyedikan bylaw biara will be constitute. I mean, so we MMDA na mama ho kwan say mbe form mbe bylaws I be boa ama governance at the local level no atimi akonkan Ghana mama ho kwan na mum no tumi mfa emra bia emma negate the superior law.
Exactly.
And inti say ye nyina gitum say galamsey bibia ye ko na matepen say this was actually done my receipt, so it was enye bibi or no kwajigu ni bottom na mum as part of the IGF enti wajije wo enipa decide to madi. I think it brings back to a simple thing. Nimdeɛ bɛn ɛna nipa yɛde once na yɛnim sɛ wosi ɔmampanyi anan mu no ɛwɔ nnwumadi a ɛte sɛ mu. If you say woyɛ mmra
And not to catch you, no, Doc, ABSC, Saturday ABSC, the Ashanti region, right? There is a documentary, Joy News, a year, about same situation, DC year, on also say, oh, yeah, illegality, or chiwa, or beju fine, right?
Wow.
The government spokesperson, the minister, Felix Eba Bontembe, said it is not right, right? Abain Emma such directive BR say obitimi yesa, not even the local government minister. And there is no existing bylaw Omeka say ebia assembly ni jina suntina or de yesa. For that reason, no, I mean Abain constitute an investigation into that. So it is just surprising that a similar incident ABC ewa kimoda and in Patemunzo.
And me point I making now summarize your mammy. And Mr. say we a man pensi a name ewo won pesua so asudi kese and that was it in a way any man penny position what take on the same subject on ebra.
Okay.
And inti a fabi no mene menu ya adwen say sa MC na oho no on fata say oye MC because on ya wusi na nan mu no nya wo ye no I said wo man na ni onyam no abafam. In other words no se wogitumu se wo yesade na se bio panyin na oditumi ahye won san wo si na nan mu no ono na wo act on his behalf.
Okay,
but I don't think that is what the president epese wo ye eninti meni omo ya just say ye investigate na ye make sure say wa yesa ya man mfa na adwuma ento nchen. But the more important thing is say our systems and structures are yet the adwuma say on mine. I think say yentume build here. Okay. And immediately as I me buy an automatic triggers. Enti wakasa straight away no even without being petitioned. I'm sure the police if what. I'm sure say you kwate.
I say police or municipality name.
Exactly. And enti there should be an automatic trigger. Say near onipa ya kana say yatinie straight away say a trigger bibi na we investigation. Now escalate issue no for appropriate action to be taken because as security no and yes will be petition monkwa and as a security investigative agencies no and yes a petition monkwa and sana mu take action and lawyer yes they can on their own accord once they see something you could be invite to say our intelligence epic way always bet me can say intelligence say and you invite to say bra na be ensembia no
yeah
but se bibia sa nko so ya na sabio say bibito sim say ye ma ye nyebre so oman enye sa yentime je kire oman ete sa se ekoye se bia ofoforo bi na ye sa anka ebia sa be ya to nsa frɛ nipa ndeda na weyi a eba apete mu na papa yanka sa beto na nemu tuo se eyi wogege wanje woni dimu na mo assembly ni dimu na odegina krata woda so a omutu bi bu honkonta na you say even auditor generals you know audit or assembly hono mo IGF from so munyaye no
yeah
what flag did they flag what did they talk about it
the source of revenue
the fact say we pay IGF na watumi anya sika I dimpu ntuduma aba o on persuasion no interest say kwan bia so by fire by thunder esa wonsa eka.
Okay,
I think we need to be serious as a country.
We need to be serious as a country. Very well. Mami, and now I say, but about the other issues, the week has been very legal now. Because the week has been very legal. A lot of court issues from last 2 weeks, ABC last week, about this week, it looks as if gradually, and your money be it is still being tested within your legal system. And this week, the Court of Appeal actually said over 70 counts they bought Sedinam Tamakulu, 78 of it. I mean specifically, you overturn the Court of First Instance. Now, Court of First Instance, the High Court, the Accra High Court, in 2024, a sentence Sedinam Tamakulu, right? On several counts, which is about 78 of them. Now, the Court of Appeal, charges are now so boy, the boss said the name Tamakulo, and Court of Appeal said, I mean, Obetimiako. Attorney General my indication say omo file for appeal. But again, let's put it on record say in 2024 after say court not in a judgment immediately said Nam Tamakulu file an appeal, right? And the notice of appeal no commenced with a court of appeal and Sakra na NDC eba baemu. What it means is that the current Attorney General no inherited the case, the dockets, any a year responses are, I mean, one more file a year as part of a year appeal said in So the Attorney General within the week, the Accounting to the People series, Amayati said they will still ensure or say what she said state prosecutors no and Sanso and Court Supreme Court for further review of the a year Court of Appeal decision. Now the next instant a year situation say what request say there should be a stay and stay the outcome of a year the Court of Appeal na afe yema a year I mean dear a wohono and wohwa. But as we speak judiciary ni nyina no e legal vacation and dra omuko court and sana legal vacation no eba. The stay application no has been suspended until further notice. Say I mean indefinitely no they say legally vacation abane there. What it means is that and then honorable Suti Ohona mentioned Komona free. So so what it means is that legally courts no ekwa homegym judges ni nyina no ekwa homegym until say court no any judges no ebe resume no I mean until further notice stay no application no court no entime entina so say sa happen there. What it means is that the Court of Appeal lakano eda so a year juma enti say the prison service it take all the necessary steps say you betimi eja said Nam Tamakulu ma wetimi akotina ni fie na wadwodwo ne ho. Now that is what it is. Enti na watwi mu the akoso eno. Now former Attorney General ewo concerns bebre a wono nso ayeden arezi because Godfrey Abu Adame and share this particular case ase enya conviction and making sure say even though said Nam yeton safre na oma, right? There is an impression say we book court na nimtia court ne fre na oma oti America and you're trying in absentia. So what it means is that onia kwenya kra say court na wubu na nimtia no obesenya the utmost right your fundamental right say obeko for an appeal. But that argument came up in the Court of Appeal. Court of Appeal no eboguye. Say it doesn't matter say or try in absentia. The right to appeal no she still has it. And you know court no uphold say obetimi appeal and indeed appeal no the akosiana akosi. Abo mame enshasi in free so it looks as if say we is in a very bad state for your government because just few weeks ago, I mean, somebody has been jailed for several offenses through the court, and today through the court, obia ya sentence na the sentence ne kra no so kra koya asem foforo because it took a district court in the United States to have ruled say extradition process na Attorney General enam so ana opese otwe Tamakulu eba na afi obe serving the jail term no. It was right, and for that reason, no, there were no issues of persecution. And the court, no, any America by say, omra me face the law. Now it is becoming a different thing altogether. Mamintio on it, Robo.
I mean, let me say, sir, Oka, there's a big indictment on our government. Meno Yadwin. In Chama no anya dwene se niema bebre sisi ewo ye mrash se bedwom ye court any ye executive side na obi are independent of each other. So the former president Yera Akufo-Addo kan no the president does not control the judiciary and say ohwe panel na etna asemi so a Justice Emmanuel Ankama and Justice Senyor ne Justice Obeying Adiawa dodo no ano mampani otwa mu no Yewura Akufo-Addo and appointed on December 2022.
The records are that the 3 panelists na asem so ewo court of appeal no President Mahama Ebaye and appointed. For instance, Justice Obin by the records was appointed by President Mahama in October 2025.
No.
And President Mahama sworn in. That is the record we have.
The records is that Justice Emmanuel Ankama was sworn in 21st December 2022. And Justice Samuel Obindi was sworn in December 22nd, 2022. It is only Justice Amedehe Senyo Emmanuel and Yewura President John Dramani Mahama sworn in. That is somewhere in October 2025. Out of the 3 judges, we have 2 that was appointed by the previous government. But I don't want us to politicize the courts. And say, Bibi says here, but let's go to the substantive issues. When you look at these 3 judges, Nano Yawada Yatnas Asemeswa, said the era about Miaka, so you and I were not there, but we'll take the issues based on the fact available, especially looking at the ruling. I don't know, because the judges no can on the lower court and the appeal court and then they raised 3 fundamental issues. The first one here, the evidential aspect of the case, there were a lot of shortcomings, and I'll explain that. Then there were the legal aspect. There were some legal shortfalls and a procedural. Now let's go to the legal. So what will be, especially in criminal procedures?
Yes.
What will be called court? Now, Kachane say, the burden of proof, and what the investigation and prosecutors are now for this matter, the state. But rather, no, Osha said the okay ruling, the burden of proof was shifted to the Sedin and Tamaklu to prove, which for me doesn't sit well. See, I can say, Mr. Speaker, where we are, and yet me American. And there's a proof where we are soon. It is not for you to prove. And this,
but that is the evidential rule and a basic thing in
yes.
law.
So if that is what happened at the lower
who
level,
alleges must prove. Yes. And to what would they charges no subone bonipano? You must prove your case at every point throughout the trial.
You know, Evidence Act 1975. That is what is there. Wow, so mono I would boni pano. Wow, this mono bono. What else I would say? And who is how far so far we. They are supposed to be evidentially. I don't see any day.
But are there exceptions to that rule?
Oh, obviously. Okay. But especially in criminal procedure, it is more or less like 100%. At any point in time, especially when it's about criminal procedure. He who alleges must prove. So all this count about 78 count I the born stealing, conspiracies to steal,
causing financial
loss, money laundering, procurement breaches, and all that. It is for the state to prove, and evidentially prove beyond all reasonable doubt. You must meet the standard rule. Say, and yes, I will can't say nipa but evidence out the bebano must prove beyond all reasonable doubt. And he said, Niama, yakika bo mudia no bar a court at the lower level, no. Ye jina sudi adansi no. Ya pajamu, mamenankasa pajamu di aba appeal court. Appeal court here and some no nyina mro hu sensu enyina sem no. And ti waba to ogua. Me how that indict the NDC, especially when assembly you inherited. You inherited, and so as at now, the AG Attorney General said that now okay, we file list of execution, but unfortunately because of legal vacation in Tino, it was unable to go through the process, which is through no fault of anybody. And now legal vacation has been there since Adam, and yeah, this is the legal vacation man. And now yeah, this determined the very time I ain't really assembly court, and yes, I'm going to end this in a Chilebrayan rule. No. And so one to me and W'asem Yie, meaning a court at home. Niama Bebrisi wo. Ya will be a Yadenako court. Na when Timian W'asem Yie nti, Yadena tomorrow. And ye will be so a Yadenako quarter, or differ pa. But Onya will be W'asem no be man, no nya dance ya can hundino, or coffee. And ye will be so or differ.
But the reasonable man's question, no, Ebeye say, you recount 78 count, right? And the Court of Appeal no is saying say Sedinam Tamakulu does not fall short of any of the counts.
Good.
That is the questioner. I mean, the ordinary Ghanaian, ebebisa say ye de sobo mako 78 and a diabo.
Yeah.
High Court ne say sobo ye diabo no udi hofo. Now you have the appellate court telling you say sobo ni nyina de diabo nyina ba konkra ne ho a udi hofo. In law, just say nyina so papa bia nye den anyhow. A reasonable questioner obi be den ebebisa. Say, how did we get here? And again, it is the same judgment High Court no emaye. And US District Court no a review ye. Eka say, based on this particular judgment, High Court no ediamano. As I say, America buying Emma Quine na yetimede said nam tamakulu eba no bese obeflisi the jail sentence. So how did we get here? How do we get the average Ghanaian to understand say yes a court no ne demra na toto ho no aye na dwuma pepepe say this so ye no
menua court I America based on the evidence on the ruling. High Court say weni udifo enti the High Court na kan na yegina so say na tie dia and yes say serve sentence. But when you get to the appeal court are subjecting the ruling of the High Court to a litmus test. And I made 3 things categorical. The first one is the legal aspect of the ruling, the evidential aspect of the ruling, and the procedural aspect of the ruling.
But this,
until when we subjected
the
all
evidential
these
aspect now, it is not just limited to the Court of Appeal. It is equally substantive, I mean, to the Court of First Instance.
Yes.
In this case, which is the High Court.
Exactly.
High Court must equally take into account the again, by the Extradition Act, right? U.S. Court no na owo say obehwe say judgment High Court no emma ye no enye politically motivated, right? Because U.S. are buying ebekire wo say obi wa America na wo so wadi bone wo man so enti America buying in releasing in mawa esese court ni make sure say releasing na ye releasing no anaso bo a wo de bon no enye politically motivated as well. Enti the district court in America ought to do due diligence by carefully assessing the judgment of the High Court.
Fantastic.
Before final determination. And this is one of the most important arguments said Nam Tamaklu lawyers a year in the district court in America. And then America court and association said that by the substantiveness of the law, no, right? The High Court ne kabia no eye pepepe obia motivate bibia enti yenyintum na yemfa ne nyeden emfa ne back to Ghana.
Meanwhile, in our legal jurisprudence, there's something that is fundamental. Say, as some High Court, there's still room
for appeal.
And there are several cases that you didn't know High Court. Meanwhile, tell me, there are several cases that you didn't know High Court. The Speaker. But you didn't appeal court. Appeal court are overturning. And in some instances, appeal court sustain the ruling from the High Court. But they do Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court are overturning. In some even instances, Supreme Court sustain the ruling of the High Court, the ruling of the Appeals Court, and the ruling of the Supreme Court. But the second appeal at the Supreme Court, they overturning all the 3 rulings. It happens. And it is not news in Ghana. Say High Court, I'm not ruling. Na yedi akwa appeal court. Na appeal court yes since so. Now also based on the evidence provided, based on the legality, based on procedural, all the 78 count in overturning.
No, so I am not faulting. I am not faulting a year court of appeal.
So mean how this is becoming.
I'm not faulting the Court of Appeal, but the Attorney General and the senior most lawyer for the government.
Exactly.
So it also brings to question, say, what sort of defense an Attorney General a file in response to said notice of appeal motion or they call the Court of Appeal, because the issues ojina so at the core appeal no, right? I presume sir those issues ought to have been proven in the High Court. Enti na Attorney General any conviction in the High Court. So substantially said the name free say bibi anko ye wo High Court and they call Court of Appeal on the same call. Then what is the sort of defense Attorney General and so yeah then at the call the Court of Appeal?
No, Attorney General, one of the defense, just like you were saying, said because he was tried in absentia and Obia were running away from sort of fugitive of justice, and he said, "Well, one book court tonight, what for no boo money in Tiadia."
But no, not Attorney General say court to be declared and say or a fugitive of justice.
Good, and say
so Attorney General cannot file such a
proposition. Such a proposition. The Supreme Court no overturn here. Sorry, appeal court no overturn here. How do you turn around to blame the appeal court? Because you knew very well, even apart from that, when you say somebody is accused, the person, there's something in law, presumption of innocence.
Yes.
The person presumes innocence until proven guilty. So the fact that you have taken me to court does not automatically make me guilty. And that do not preclude me from attending to any other thing, especially when I have duties outside our jurisdiction. And to the fact say, Yedemiako appeal court, sorry, Yedemiako high court. Na ya sentence me. Na ma appeal at the appeals court. Na mi wo dwumadi efoforo di wo man foforo so. Bibi anse me kwan say me nko. If you say oka say me ye guilty a, kopem say court no be kire say we ni nti me ye guilty no. I am innocent. Presumption of innocence. So for you to just use the fact that I was tried in absentia as one of your bases to sustain the ruling of the lower court. Now Supreme Court not turning around that, then you turn around to blame. So it is, and this is normal in our jurisprudence.
Okay.
Say, Obidia Semako Court. Now, you know, at any point, let me say this. At any point in time, any decision anybody takes, decision be an agenda so be a obey you know, based on the amount of information available to you. And at the High Court, the amount of information that was available to the Attorney General and or the prosecutor and on your judgment. And I'm for say there are higher evidence and other procedural issues are one follow, and because of that, Maminko Court of Appeal a fundamental human right. Obi antimi nyimfrinism. And or the ACO. And at that time, the Attorney General or the state, for that matter, had all the no opportunities. Say, or also be file another superior evidence. Or be move through the right legal and procedural issues. Bema na sam na sen jinemu. If you say, me de niema mi jina so de nya judgment no. Say ye kwa appeals court. I have to convince the court, in this case the state or the Attorney General, to convince the court beyond all reasonable doubt. That is the standard of evidence.
Yeah.
It's in our criminal procedure. As I said, one kasa will prove to court and say, same way, me can ya enunti. High Court no my judgment no. Except for say want to so. Now on also the WhatsApp na working since near so. I say legally does it have a root? Procedurally, evidentially, have they proven, you know, when you are in criminal procedure, and yet it's a civil procedure. If you say, when you have a problem versus the state, yetimi do too many yetimi a sentence for life, and the consequence of criminal procedure is far higher than civil procedure. And in civil criminal procedure, they require something we call standard of proof. And no must be higher, which we term in law, must prove beyond all reasonable doubt.
And only the Yatias,
but the one to me and W'asem Yie.
Mema Odiesi na Mako Ben. So the standard of proof, right? In the case of Bernard Mpi, most Yako,
yes,
Chema to me, yes, right? As against the state or the republic. Now, the burden of proof at some point, already judgment now, a shifting from the prosecutors to the accused person, right? So the prosecution witness makes a claim, say, Chairman wouldn't to me edit the concession and mommy. Say, main koye reclamation, right? Or call ye no, I know started say, or ye mining, ever concession. Now, the assertion of the prosecution witness was that Chairman wouldn't to me and Tuyanika for a Juma na or ye no. Rather, the agreement was that say oye jumana onye mine nibi, right? Na onfentua neka. Chairman to me came under cross-examination and he said, say, the prosecution witness neka no enye no correct because the agreement was that reclamation na woyen duakube e wasase na wa reclaim on so. Then after some time, yeti kube no ye ton any idea. Ubetime di sikani biya eden ate woka. Right? Now, at some point in the judgment, Doc, the burden of proving these particular assertions by the prosecution witness, came onto Chairman Woon to me. Our court, Ebisa Chairman Woon to me say, what is the evidence? And what say, indeed, he had such an agreement with the prosecution witness to do reclamation and then again grow a coconut, right, on the said land. Now it brings to question. Now, Mamin kind on it directly. Or see, having rejected the allegation, the burden rests on the first accused to lead evidence. And in that circumstance, first accused, Chairman wouldn't to me, right? So this is what the court said. Having rejected the allegation of say, Okachre Henry say unko ye reclamation on dia kubeno. The court having rejected it. The burden rests on the first accused to lead evidence on the probabilities to show that prosecution witness 2 had an agreement to allege arrangement, which is the coconut planting, right? No such evidence was, however, led in this case. So this is what the court said in the case of Chairman to me. So it brings to question, say, who now will prosecute asem now what the W'asem Yie? Who necessarily will prove every bit of the case. At the time I said in a course, for the court to listen to your evidence and what you seek to prove. But at any point in time, the burden of proof is shifted from the prosecutor or the prosecutors, about the accused person. So in law, what do you say to this?
The same thing. When you read Article 19 clause 10, this is fundamental. No person who is tried for a criminal offense shall be compelled to give evidence at the trial. Simpliciter.
Okay.
Article 19 clause 10. Sir, Obia.
Just about 2 minutes now.
Yade kwa bono. To me sign so no ankasa any dance man. But in the case of Chairman to me say as I so menam je na mo media ma papa say ma onye galamsi na onu akubi. But what I say in that instance Chairman to me allege say me nua onu akubi. Nti eza me na me kire say ampa me de ma papa say onu akubi. Na mo nya papa na eza se force no so o ma dance ye say. So that is the reason why the court acted the way they acted and forced Chairman to me to provide evidence. In this case, even though he was the first accused, but he has also given another leg of the allegation. Say the second accused has been given opportunity on that same land to plant so Onyakubi, and it has turned the other way around. It is not in the case say. Chairman to me any forced on say
if that is the assertion, right? With said in Tamaklo, prosecution witness, the former CEO Edema Maslock sticker, right? On the claim say Yema said in Tamaklo Sikebi say on Fankra cars, wanye, right? Sticker came in court and agreed to the fact that on the time crown or buyer or ensure a car no crab ebeba. What it means is that if the intent was that Yamonsika Fakra cars no finally medru said in Tamakulu period. But within the period of Sika, the cars finally did what? Came. So how does that become a comprehensive charge in terms of account as against Sedinam? So it brings to a whole lot of questions. But mamemra Benjamin Insiaso na mintieno. But before I be no mamemra Solomon Owusu Achi na memano Akwaba director for communication United Party. Solo Machi.
Yeah, pronto.
Na bibi aboko there.
Yesu aya ka de John Leweka ho say article 36 in the way American when in year na akoma mpenio on so be here bravo. So na no pay am tia many abri Mr. President and your administration. Baby she baby. Me balance here on fast azana da bonena day. Aba.
Okay. Now say boys ne say o file yi ya do so asen unua kwaku ba ko de.
Kwaku ba ko de na o de drink ati. On the Ghana problems ne do so. We judgment in kwa ma media. O za sem no be ka.
And to be work up
kan kwa. Me no me old school. Ti we no phone no obetuma ba na internet ni nya aduma. Ti men pass away. There is no way internet be able to prevent me say mama me book yi. Ti me be.
So ba no print it.
Anyway, yeah no. Yeah no. We are very yeah no. We be able to
Solomon also be that member. But Ben, Mamintio on this particular issue.
Kwame, that's it. Kwame, we are sure said Nam Temekro or several or a prisons in the movie. Are you certain? Like
I'm not the authority to confirm that for you, but from what the Minister for the Interior Akano, what it means, they say she's been in our prisons. Simplicity.
I think that we are lady no Aqua Safari we are not said. Yes, like I said, or holidays view. And it's true because Minia lady extradition. The lady US are buying and can one person be disclosed. Normally say my boka. Na okufo bi fra ma no na ba. At least say who say kawa crash ni nsemu anka o si play mu.
Ya
handcuff no kawa ehye ni nsemu. Ya hu picture bia. Ya ni be pie krum ha. Sales kra okọ ya asa na bia say ni ko prison director. Ya ntehwe.
The pre-arrangement and sana ye de ko prisons.
Ya ntehwe.
Okay.
Ye wi ya so bia appeal ya omko na mi. I was thinking say bia and command the beba. One.
I'm the beba court. Okay. To say the chairman want to be back court.
Back court no. Ya fa mami ya ma. Send ya me no kasai. So ka tell say mami o prison ya.
Onyini.
Ni. And I'm justified. Because the state has failed us. The state no overprotecting mami no. This a me tia ka say mami no e da akọ safari a. E wo so bisu jimidi. Because there's lack of transparency and lack of disclosures on this woman.
It is a burden of proof, but that also say prove. Say one co prove.
The state should prove. No.
You are alleged.
No. Yes, the state must prove because state make an arbitrary attorney general, come arbitrary interior minister ka. Say state ni mayehu, say mami no or seven the sentence until appeal no.
Okay.
State the mami yes. Like a
kidnap case. And obi enhu ni video.
Like a kidnap case.
Oma court. Okay.
So it could be that we are now only prisoner. You can hold that safari. We are not to go be no jena home. And I can watch him. But let's look at the case. You see, that we have maybe a problem with you, the lawyers and your judges and other things. And but you better on my name. I was saying this one MP before a debate. Godfrey didn't do a good job. Godfrey did a good job. Assuming Godfrey didn't do a good job, did the judge, High Court judge, whether he or she, did do a good job? Assuming himself, you know, did to me, I said, Godfrey Daniel Dumapa, right? So I judgment no my based on Godfrey the positions, no.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Dumapa, Mamma no, say Papa, where wine? Why, Mammy? So, say, Mamma, the judgment there wrong. Send you appeal, my as I said, 78 near wronger. They've all caused financial loss to the state because we had in America, but they're Mexico. And a lawyer in your Mexico.
Your Mexico.
On Mexico, they did free American buy and I was saying, and Obi also be more mind cano. I was saying if I'm so good in Libya. Right? You see, me tiha me tie lawyers ni say the mukoti. I'm not much as he say law profession no. It's not that fair. It's not that fair. No. It's not that fair. It's not that fair. My professional say it's not fair. There's no fairness in it. The judge and the lawyer can determine who goes to prison or not. Yeah. I'm telling you.
I say it's a matter of law.
And I mean, so it's a matter of law.
Sorry, them.
Me can't say sorry them. You know what I'm saying? It's fair profession. And there's no fairness. The lawyer no the judge. So assume he say appeal say they say mami anya the way you. It means that say mami na ko appeal abi ono e was canting on no ko appeal. There are many commoners. Poor people in Ghana only ko appeal. Lawyer no judge to be go say ko dem. Yeah, what could them? So, Mr. More reform, I think more reform law, there's no fairness in it. Now, another thing I also realize about some of these rulings, ethics, principles, and values. No law, no, all these things are out.
How do you determine, fairness, principles here out?
You see, lawyer can't evidential, procedural, legal. I said, not me school kakra one ho because I'm not a lawyer. Oh, only a lawyer. Hey, and the lawyer Dachin. What's another Dachin lawyer? Let me embrace it. Ah, okay. Oh, Josembra. You are now the solo crack as a quello. Land economy. Baby, I'm a dream. Baby, I don't go. Oh, Monica Preja. Hey, negotiator settlements. Plea bargain see. Communiska. Okay, make come as a farmers. They just because of ethics and values in Nimono. You see, what say you krum ha? Krono ekosopa. Krono mo go de American alert become TV so because krono ekosopa o kruma. Abain nkrofo politicians, technocrats, omo boy krono pa. But because your law is value based, no, and a principle based, no, what you who say what about chrono pound? Then so na law na for point so you will film. Could this kind? And I think the American side because no copy from the West. So they say no politicians are emboldened. So who dia? And also be peka krama obi. You go you will film. Now what did you happen? And now say
the impression now will seek is so be creative and pay. For me, I will not sit here and allow you to create that impression because it's a matter of law. Enti emra krona na a jelly nipano, right? Any court processes and proceedings a jelly nipano. It is the same court proceedings and are overturning. So the impression, maybe to was the impression you seek to put out there, cannot be accurate. Now, again, I'm saying that when it comes to issues of law, it's not about emotions. What not there be already concerns about emotions in this country, right? At the time said Dinam Tamakulu was jailed or sentenced. But it is the law. Until the law took its full course. But arguably, judgment to be by you have every right say criticize the judgment, The Attorney General has said, yes, Obilivu said the court of initial instance, which is the High Court, was correct into Obeko for another appeal in the Supreme Court. So why create that impression? The
impression I'm creating is that Attorney General and the Wakano, let's see how it goes. The American, let's see how it goes. But it's part of the choreography. It's part of the script. Anyway, you see, Minya. What can W'asem Yie? Asemi na mpese bi disi asem so lo na uma. Mini aka che me say America for a review initial events and judgment extradition no. So I'm assuming that me assuming say America for review it's also like an appeal. Anambo Kwame future lawyer. No, I know
they cannot try.
They cannot try but they review. Would they pay extradition?
How are they going to do that? Because already are convicting away. You see, there are two different things. said you're in prison.
Yeah.
To who reviewed you? You can't review it.
But that's what they did.
America.
Yes.
No, then there's a wrong impression.
But say one ma application.
Yeah, jailing with Ghana, and now for that, you're retry. I want to go review. No, what does that mean?
It does not constitute a retrial, but Attorney General will come up with certain requests, right, to the American government.
Yes, or the judgment to the Bakakomom.
Exactly.
Yes.
So they will have a look at it.
Yes.
Now, let us say, come home and make sure, say, I mean, politically, influences behind the baby.
How are you going to determine that?
So, Kwame. So,
I wanted to give some clarity.
Just about 1 minute.
Kwame, 1 minute. We have to be 3 hours.
The about 3 hours.
I showed you 2 hours.
So, is there 3 hours?
American case.
Kwame,
American case.
I don't say 3 hours.
American case. Before extradition, I think that when you to say there was some form of review. America fully to say, any political witch hunting. Right? Court no found Mrakwan so any day no say uncle them. And almost what in America. Until yen sign fan fee, which is America for Crown High Court in the Yarding. Because America for High Court in the Yarding and come Mama Menemaha. And I
want to say it cannot be. There is nothing like a court judgment in view. Say, after anybody ever tried to say in the case of Kirofriata. Court be unconvicted.
Exactly.
Jaffrey Albert prefer charges. Tenon Almono has a charges, a crime in their country. But when they are called for trial, they're not going.
And the background, you say some background, so maybe as to America. Now, on the political side, I think that, you see, so we are buying out a community. Perception matter a lot in politics.
Yeah.
It matters a lot.
That's true.
Say, a man for no do not be say, yes, you would ye, and I would ye home by. Name so because it is bad for you. Because that is a perception that has been created. Say, NDC is protecting their own and trying their possible best to judge others or sentence others. And it's very, very bad because Attorney General primary position on this appeal, meaning, may own our feature, I mean, kind 78 or 98 pages in 9 years. But in the appeal process, no, they were very relaxed. The current attorney, not the previous attorney general.
Wow.
They are very relaxed because they didn't show concern.
No.
They were very relaxed. Now, why relaxed here? We not appeal, judgment. Having also
but how do you say they were?
No, we can't do that.
Minia.
So more file or more defense or more respond. So
Minia, what filing defense? We defense also a filing. Now we defense in the 2 week that all the 78, you know. Yet me apashini na outer. What kind of defense is so far?
That is an attorney general won it.
Oh, which attorney general won it? The previous attorney general won it. Not this
attorney general as an institution.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Oh, challenge politics 1 year. Now,
attorney general, and this attorney general, they were MVP attorney general.
You may not want to accept
the current attorney general is
you may not want to accept it, but the attorney generals are not the same. Own penny. Because Babi ought to know penny, but solo some penny, but attorney generals are not the same.
No, but Ben,
the office is the same, but attorney generals are not the same.
Are you saying this based on the judgment? And I said,
a general. General. The attorney generals are not the same.
But not related to the subject matter.
On the subject matter, because attorney generals are not the same. Indeed, SAS script they say the script that you are going to appeal, Kwame. Let's wait and see.
Okay, my member Dr. Ira question that maintain. No, maintain.
I remember me near Solar Quab.
Aye, Cronto.
No friend in Fiona.
That's a bit
That's
Speaker, had also power.
Doc.
As I say it, yes. You buy a judicial service for my one. And no one in your
sure.
And a quite PSC a fast a bomb by because Obi much nasem so obetinya be minister ochina na ochina bi wawie na adwuma akra open man kan bi edi no yese yi kokobuo bi obo ni kurom kra no ode owi aban sika ena de ye enti na ayakokra ye twe no ai so tena so fa ne ndro na ye twe no na ye de no ko na ye de ne ba na wutiriye yesa ne a ye nyina ye kan na ukonya emranim ni bi a wote mra na ase obetumi atwitwaje wa ende ye ho son enunti ye kan na ye se ye careful nso se ye ni empo na enje judgment abana ye nka enkogu judiciary no ho fi if say ochina bi ye de niem bi ko for won a na say ye san akọ a san krofo ya na ebehwe kwan say obetwitwa age yen and that's my first point. The second thing me person meka and say ye wo minister for attorney general and minister for justice na mene honorable ya adwen say ye ni NDC attorney general ni MPP attorney general enka sa na eseba na mmomu no kwa ye fa so asem si a ye pentem ene ahoden a ye de hyem se ekoye okuraba kwa ho fa so ka asem no ene ekoye wa wo ba ekwa ho fa so de ka asem no ema woti eche na wo sese mienu na bisa ho se adenti na papa yi ana mami otu anamo a etisa sebe oba de obewufu manadi na okuraba de wode woma wo ba nche ne so se ono amefa na onhwe ne obetimi di aye se we attorney general e wo mu se aban a eteso ena epa wo na momu no dibia ye de ahye wonsa no enya aban ne dibia wo gina ho magana fo nyina eni nti eba criminal charges cases attorney general no ena e prosecute on our behalf enti me a me try say ade ne yi kura mpo na efa me ho a mintumi mfa me pe enkasa me ko prosecute case no this e ko fa attorney general so enti police for beye na docket na ko for attorney general's advice ansana wo beto aso a wato aso enti asudi kese ena eda attorney general and minister for justice so na mo kamia ese sania ben kan yi perception nipa susuye ehu hia pa ekamia ese efa enipa efa abanya otisu yi hu a ankoye discontinue of cases nolly prosecute and many American sankoye nolly prosecute ebe something else anase nia ekosu na me prepare for the mikohu a document bia me nimba bi efri nti mintum but a list of nipa attorney general yi are discontinue on cases and only prosecute okay and I say nipa ye born so boa ene wo so mu aban mu enti ensem efa won ho no ye yi afri won so eba ne saa ema ye ntrimu entene yen substantive matter ye discuss on ye nuaba sedinam sabe sedinam e ya mibusuani ana menua na appeal case ruling yi ba yi meba ko born powder but ye emotions are free na ya hwe say on mine because ye the on mine sika and etu investigators ka from Yoko enipa e ba ye invite you ba ye nyina judgment cases am court na see o mo hwe ye all the process attorney general officers efi prosecutors e ba ye nyina e on mine sika and etu wonka yade ne fi amano neba o mansika so that prison po a o mansika ene yade ehwe no 78 counts ena ebaye me bisa me ho say judgment yi patch say out of all the 78 counts no nyina had defects and intino ye ne ho so at least ba ku bia me hu wo mu menye lawyer ninti ebia dachin lawyer solo bet me have menye lawyer Mr. Mankaso me say dachin one of them was this case of 500,000 beer ebemu I think the point of disagreement was about signature.
Yes.
Say signature no or say any dia. Good. Na akoye sikasem with the cash na bre nipa no and nipa no ma receipt. And or just say signature okay. And me signature. Could we have used a similar case Amodi Yuzu and W'asem Yie case of more friends circumstantial evidence? Could we have used other means of triangulating to even see, because there was a phone call. We could verify this. Was there a phone call to this? There was an agreement to meet at a location. There was a time of that location. Could we have triangulated and gathered adequate data to be able to do this? I don't think this would have been a rocket science matter. Some information in truth be told, say maybe the prosecutors couldn't do enough work, a good job. And we should be asking them to also answer why some of these basic things could not be done. But the big question for me is that, is it the case to say all the counts, suffered from evidential deficiencies? And if that is the case, should there have been a partial acquittal or complete acquittal?
Okay.
The other thing is that independently, are we saying independently? You have 78 counts, case by case, case by case. Every one of them had a deficiency, and for that matter, our sister deserved to be a free person. My point is say, ochina mini babia mekwa kwejina ena emre bia obi befa etia me. Say ayampa say ye nuaba no onfomo ya. I think the law should work and we should celebrate the law. Na yenhye mu kena. Na onfa ne fa mu die. Even compensation bi wo ho mpo a. Let's work it out for her. But say wafom e wo baby. Na say esane say ene tumi a ewo nipa bi nsem nti ye betumi aye na wafa no wanya ne fa mu die asanya ba ni kan ba bia ye nua ba ye we ye ni se owo cell yi ana prison way ana way so obi ani
but them mostly are in disclose man for security reasons.
Security reasons, but sometimes we know, especially what is the official statement from the Interior Ministry about say obaye holding waha and finally
the minister granted several interviews
to prisons,
agreeing to the fact say over prisons. And I mean the allegations out there say obaye kra ni emfa ni nkotum no minister say no correct.
Fine, let's assume, I mean he is a minister, he's the one who is doing the job on our behalf, and we will give him the benefit of the doubt. But my point is that say Attorney General, on hearing the case, say this matter I have instructed say stay of execution. Lawyer, I was trying to basically read to say what law the Leonard Attorney General is basing his order on. Say apply for stay of execution. I mean, in this matter, I didn't know which law he was grounding his argument on, but it was just an oral thing or the back.
There is already an application to stay the process, and for say Court of Appeal are making a judgment, right? Pese a bit take effect. Na pese said the name no bekoswa prison where you stay it. Until you stay court ne betie unyina so a wonti a wo say I mean court ne mfata bono nto so answer, right? But eno na ntimi an happen before sana
the legal vacation.
Yes,
and I expect that they back in October, yes sir.
Exactly.
It's between now and October. I mean, young sister no fine. I mean, until proven otherwise, this is the current judgment. And that is what applies.
Okay.
And anyone wants say, as we speak, ABI say by this before the end of the week. So it's possible that this process has been done. But my point is that we must not send the impression. Say udi bone, menka is where di bone. Say udi bone, na say W'asem ka. O show you can W'asem Yie. W'asem ka yia. And the eja ubetumi afa kwan bi so na ohwato. Na watumi afa ofa anya ofa hudie
okay me that
ye ba ne sa yem enye enfanto ho ema foforo it emboldens other people a edi ekire wan hwe yi a na oman yi dache ye de ensa begu ye ntu but enchirimenti si ye hwe na se appeals the minister is going to appeal at the Supreme Court. We hope it is done. But I have a question. Maybe you people can help me. The other part of the conversation is not everything documentation, because appeals court, my understanding is it's not a place to go and tender in new evidence. It is based on available evidence now submitted or High Court, no, and no any transmitted for them to review the cases and then be able to either uphold the judgment and not say otherwise. Now the point about in my reading is not all the issues evidence now a tender or High Court, no, not everything was transmitted to the court of appeal. Whose responsibility is it? Say or tender in all these
prosecutors.
Is it not the court's process? Yeah. It's not the registry of the court? And they say yes, Ejumano.
But so we are prosecutor until all the evidence available to you, no, Ufri say ebi maya, you cannot draw the attention of the court.
And that is where I have a problem. Is it a legitimate administrative error? And all the documentations that I may do court of appeal. And now it was a deliberate thing to be able to get some of these judgments.
Okay. Doc, me da say, me solo so, but mamin kind of messages ni the answer na yatwa so. W'asem Yie so ni ewo Onia TV. So we are live on DSTV. We are live as well. Ewo Go TV. Mo share or broche ewo Facebook and YouTube. The so nyina no adope yena W'asem Yie the speaker. Now, Kwesi Amisa say, good morning, Mr. Speaker. I'm watching you guys from Dubai. God bless you. Isaac Akroma say, I'm enjoying the show in Germany. Glory be to God. More fire and greetings to Mr. Apia Stadium of the NDC. Huko Mark Eddie Abba or say good morning, Speaker. Richardson Oforikweku can come say, I heard somebody at the background saying amen. I don't know what you mean by that though. Kwame Acidity I have watching here say I'm enjoying the conversation. W'asem Yie this morning. Special greetings to Chairman Sadiq. Incoming for regional organizer, hopeful on the ticket of the NDC. And Odia Ban Edu Kingston said, good morning, Speaker. More fire to your panel members and yourself. Kessie Jonathan said, Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, what the MP is saying, it means he knows those involved in Galamsey. And just as your panel are saying, he must proceed to the appointing authorities and make the official report. Eric Odro said the MP did the attempt, the only kind. Darlene Prince, Prof. Prince, watching you live inside a year. Bobriase and Adanse North District, and I'll do a free buy. Engineer Shama Abase, congratulations, Godfather Professor Dennis Walanyo Ahito. The Lord has appointed you. Eric Dovis, please, good morning to you, Mr. Speaker, and your team. But how many senior elders speaking? I'm not agreeing to what they were saying. I don't really get the content of their Okano. Dennis Dako said, good morning, Speaker. Fantastic job. Great my boss for me, Mr. Chiremi, for the good work he's doing. This is Alaji of D&D. Automobile and Logistics Limited. And say, Honorable Alaji said, Ochia. ML Smith said, good morning, Speaker. You guys are doing a wonderful job. Great show by all standards. And say, Odian, a couple of more messages, no, I don't know, Yako Yanim, no, Yabekin Kai, Eddie, Akaho, Eddie, Solo. Bame Emra also na Mintio on this particular subject. And Sana Yako, the Constitutional Review Committee Nejuma Omwaye Aban present a position on that particular recommendation by the committee, and the Supreme Court ruling political parties must do away with the delegate system. And so Mekai Honorable Asiri na our primaries ahead of him. And Obeche Kwai Obefas will be winning that particular primary. No, but so look, on the Sedinam issue.
Was the one who joined the coalition? Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Solo.
dear Dome say Ghana, your Maya, we will survive. You will a brighter future from where I sit. You know. You see, I mean, you are Mamincha MP Ben Hayford, when you are sketchy on frame and you're Yamene.
Solo in the house.
Like a manager,
but senior,
the woman said, Ben, dog, be perception. I mean, feel say more and more perception in the near you call various platforms. Because you call various platforms, you know, the advantage and that privilege, I want to say, you to make kind. It may say, and no matter where the Oxford, no, you be cannot as it is. I don't believe, say, you betcha it is near the year cano, and it to me shape
the opinion.
The opinion. It is a perception out there in the and say, Yenny and Kabibia. And this is not in reference to the Omaka.
This panel, yeah.
You may purchase and not just say, your various media space, no, you did bonny. You did 2 foot gunko for any rather than say, ye de betchere chiramanipa enyantiasie chefiti enra na dwubisi na no pay my brepa because they call me Facebook na because car say the ruling of the appeals court no is solid na obi a ope your friend say ruling ni bi no on fama committee bu me fama wo the Facebook no jumi post to 94 pages so be ba inbox ma send this mean say ya court for ni you know omomwa system no na nipa nyina there is nothing to hide and to mean kenkan na omo kenkan a ombe chick meji na ye dey ye na se na be ya ko ka bebre no emem
if I solo mean twa but judgment about on Thursday, yes. Right? Many lawyers bebre di nkomo and then many the colleague law students bebre so di nkomo it's interesting, right? So the judge who sat on the case, or criminal law lecturer at the Ghana School of Law. No, I'm talking of the High Court. Sorry, Mameno, Wabimpa, enti Ebani said, ye criminal law na kasa. Otiasie.
Enti dia the call wrong wa.
Enti.
Baby, you be kind of paying because you see, about said in Atamakru.
So erring in law,
yes,
something that is substantial.
Yeah, you see, Metro was a kind. My kind 94 pages, my kind twice, just to be sure. Say, it's answer me. Abraham T news on breaking news. But obi the celebrate. Backman the celebrate. Say, yeah, yeah, acquitted. Any discharge said, come here, bonam. Says some phone and echoes from Krumai. Are they? Tibibufu ya ma baby amenam kra me say my friend me ko baby kra ana bibi ka chem say empende moa ase to obu ase nenya judgment no timinya judgment na around 4 p.m. na meetings awodo nti no ana do base 8 ana me call sharpnet because office meeting nko na me call print na me bande we could do fida no pameba program ti me satra me to so from 11 a.m. to base 2 Medican can ya and I'm say and then the propaganda say oh my look let's start here for baby dog free no say records ni bi anko go do appeals court enye no kre na eje ba fo wa lawyer no onhwe yie o ya MP won two foot wrong you see politics no power no they don't believe so they try to get me obetumi aka no kre na wagitu mi and no be boa ma omamuo no agimu because o de no kre and agitu mi yeah God for that me nankasa na no trust akratai.
Okay,
I mean ready for a portion bin show paragraph 7 and 8 be ready together said the bear obehu in their written submission. This is paragraph 7. In their written submissions, the principal state attorney repeated her complaints about an incomplete record of appeal, an omission from the record of all the exhibits tendered by the prosecution at the trial, and the fact that they became aware of the instant proceeding after the court had directed the parties to file their written submissions. W'asem Yie o program ye video so e twi amefanko sene me ame aboadwoa beti ase wase ngofo egya ya name attorney general for no eye the catch the court no say woman no woman records of proceedings no and grant any be no say the appeals court no e bia nkwa nkodu some complaint judge no te your friend say akunyam that time na nyesa judge na also na your leadership mensa dacha case you answer with your friend is Justice Emmanuel Ankama and Diewu started with her leadership Justice Mensa Dacha. Now, judge in the car, that's paragraph 8. The Court of Appeal presided over by her leadership Mensa Dacha proceeded to inquire into the fundamental matters raised by the state attorneys which affected the court's jurisdiction to determine Ms. Attorney's appeal by ordering that 3 volumes of the record of appeal, which the Republic did not have access to, at the same time, it filed its written resubmission be given to the Republic. This was done. We got for them in the true. Osi abra state attorneys, you know, echo work where you say, in Katani be ordered by Anguan Court of Appeal. Ye nyebino. Judge are not here kunyem I friend her leadership Justice Mensa Dachano say yemfa sankratani nyina nkonyemfa bi ma state attorneys no na sadie we
because as at the time no money records
sadie we according to Godfrey Damino is here indeed me who the judgment itself the ruling of the court and order say omfa so no man mantino there is nothing like say in kratani court appeals court no ni bi nkan ni nyina ye dey ekudio. Now the issue of say and 70 be na defective charge ni bi no I mean Justice Ankama, but people don't know Justice Ankama. Honest somebody know. Sabi, who can judge for? I need you or solid. And I made that. Justice Ankama Justice I deal. Or I go for an appointment to 2022. And I made a 2025. So now they move away from it. Now they're winning the politics of it. Say. President to appoint the party. As you say, hey, over there, go be here do am the party there. And that's also get 2-1 against Sedina. But I guess and the chichi no no fan to. Now, judgment Lankasa. Yeah, the Nyama be 78. In fact, I'm cover defective charges. Out of the 78 charges now, on the bomb no, from count 5 to 71 in Munungwa. And then me feel say yaba better you can say give me you full of dame and the judge not trust. In fact, my emergency me petition for the removal of the judge. Because the point is that a nipa do say you use san you ma we do makwa to afiase. We are law student. The burden of proof between the accused any plaintiff that one so and any say issue no. Yes, no.
So, but say no clear. And prosecution necessary prove it.
You all quite Branambo. And you're not going for just because perception, you educate your more. But so we are children. Why be no muntin ye and Jiminian way? The wow will be so. I would be quite in fear. About you are the Biamon go for quite in fear. What did the quite in fear? You put out there some matono. On the horse at Chilemus and Menya Bonnie and as a wild in Ako and also the dance here. And Chileman because why Bonnie? This is a fear. I've been fear some year can. Now, in this case, you know, judge, you know, Emma yes, say, yes, he said, Natama grow a cromfort, and teachers are when you're cromfort. And how you do it? What's your criminal? My goodness. And until 500,000 and a million, Hayford Aircam was a beautiful or cited circumstantial evidence. It happened in the judgment. Now, Oba Tampa for Maslock in 2014, Omudi came 150,000. And it's married them to no mutual year. And check on Omudi 500,000 year day. Ekakam. Omutro Maslock, Omu issue Maslock check. One for cash ne bra Oba Tampa. Or no bra Sikano or issue Maslock check. No, the bra Oba Tampa. Already Muzana must say 24% interest rate in a year. And wedding. And Timosa this kind of day, brewo umpebio. And to one about Tampani, board chair, and the managing director, no, say, 70% between Kakoma institution. I was a medical to my account. You don't want in Kakatre. My medicine media medicine quack to my account. Uti me, Tiopa. Anna, or no, say my medical says that be, and first can go to my stock account. Kuyini cash, never brave me. Ampa or did that Sadia so 28 August 2014. according to Obatampa for Osise Sika, Edekoma, Papai, Ewabatuna Tota, Mami or Batuna Tota. My manager also my receipt. I want reference numbers, I acknowledge, say, what you man. Now, I didn't the reference number 2 receipt. So, young performer reference number visa for the fun of it. Or Chow say, see a confirm muscle filer. You be whom sa a dance gene say a day. Also, I read my medical yokono. Was it me? Sadia Moke, me that. Me Nisika and me issue receipt beer. And it's not quite your word against my word. And that's circumstantial evidence here. Now, guess what the woman did again? I said, we see 2014. In 2015, Maslow through my meno and finance or extra cratakoma or Batampa for say, would you have a now so, me my baby is a minimum on the Cameron, Menasa boldness, as actual cracker, I day, Abril. Answer. Abra otro Batampa for no. Ko tiri busa Batampa boche and say no otro mo no. So wetua joka de na kire no. Also otro back mo ana o si there be name me send in a WhatsApp message. That is fine. You can stand the test of time. See what now WhatsApp message you know here o si there be. Only WhatsApp message nti why pa judge be and in the widest of a figment of imagination. And as I know we yes now be kase ma me wrong. Yes, ebe jo ba say ma me ji usika. But we beat you. And it to me, the mere expected said Maslow or some quarter or Batampa, Eji Sikabre. Esan said there is nothing. Why admit to some power 500,000, but there is nothing on record that says 1 year day. A chess what you to also cheer more. That is for the first part. There is another one that has to do with your friend is say.
Not all repair point.
Oh, it's a
2 minutes.
Open to yeah, then what to time me. And your
other issues.
I waiting here, pa, okay, and my main jumping call, Cassian and Casse. So, over your time, dear, we want here, over your time, one of your bad, I'm time. Yes, said that we did 96 million Ghana cedis. I don't know quite where the bone. Sikane so mupa, 61 million. That's 61 million. So, said in a Udi Sikabiana. Said in a GPRT4 and a coin share. So better 350. In fact, yes, Sedina, Maslow. Let's put it that way. Represented by Sedina. So better 350 Casamade GPR2. And then 150 Avio. So Avio EB. Chevy Avio. And then 150. So GPR2 for person dear taxi or Sadio. And Avio spark lights. One was our lights and Kana. And also Makuma 100. And Isuzu bus 33 Sitano. And also methods 100. Or signs our contracting on the 6th. Check the date too. On the 6th of December 2016, a day to the national election of what? 2016. 2017, or sign contract with 2017, NDC for a 7 December NDC for lose election. And at your mama, MPP man almost $1 million gap. And MPP buy. Now, some contract, when you approval from the finance ministry, another side. A buy now, MPP are buying. Led by Maslow's chief executive, I know yet Dancini was asked to be a friend of several Amunia friend sticker. Any company now no more tongue, Sarkas from Makotos, as fair pass limited. As I got to say, almost share pricing now, my medical dear, no answer called the trouble a day, a shame. To Musako dear, no Nina for fro. And a Mujitumo on a certain price. And a Muma by Minister of Finance, Ken Ofurata, Echiakoto Sarkasano. On what basis? And a Sedina also co prison for a dear no crown chia. Now we are the only Babelde. I dare send a Moka. Sir, yes, go for
yes, but prosecution witness agreed, saying the time no tia.
Absolutely, and he waits us some way, you know. Young for Sedina, Bar. I am saying, Sir Sedina, Samena, Menanoa, a chair come a filing malicious prosecution, may sue the state big. And this was spending even a 30-second in jail. Your prosecution or my but
and only a one count. There is a count concerning Cantamanto. So, just 1 minute. Cantamanto.
most say for 579,800 at the boy I was sad the same sa kantaman to asem na sika no betua to dwadifo adamfo for more office for your information or more minimum pa managing director sa ka na asem ne koso na managing director di nkomo pa ba nya nyoma nyina na no bi be kan secretary ye sika in court o time nti ana me ntumi nka ba pa yen kai paragraph 80 for your benefit educating go for nya emotions na e krumu ano paragraph 80 sika was a prosecution witness. What do you mean say what sika in court ek catch the court to say the father for the counterman to say the ye kura na mfumso bie ni ho ana court the busa say then out to be say mfumso bie ni so ye ni aye hwehwem within and outside or say within ho amoa omo busa maso for say so you omo disika ma counterman to for na omo say ana without no so outside so omo so ye ni the phone the father for no ekodi nkita ho busa say ampa emo mo kire omo evidence ama court the busa sika say nti sika mo ni bisa de we nyina mo reporter mo de ba court e kan ho say aspect we no mo no mo de consider bi enye nipa bonesem a e de na wo kokota wo kwakodi asem no wo consider some of them say obi ngongo dem now you can say minister of justice attorney general and you say you are protecting only the interest of the state, you are providing justice obi aye Ghana ni it is a ba wanim na se me ye bo me kwadu na se me Ghana na me nyamfom so a eni se oforso me it explains why ya na Godfredame ene japa e negotiate o table so say kiema to force ye go jele no sa di ba say o se me menyi ntum na da chi be o ti ho no mo a ye gare ya ye fraud ntuma ye twantura to so na ye jaja obeka se wo ye de to so no jatoro so wo yi ho ano ye wi ya ko jele ne pa no now you want to live this country
ye what can you ye accurate now ye what can you right assuming without doubt.
Judgment.
But yes, this is the High Court judgment.
Yes, right? This is the Court of Appeal.
Now, in all the assertion I will put here across the right? The Attorney General finally comes back to say, said, the High Court in the can be with all the assessment, the current Attorney General comes back.
Premature ejaculation.
The Attorney General said he agrees with the judgment of the Court of First Instance. And or no as Attorney General, what directly said, the state prosecutors must file an appeal against the Court of Appeal judgment. And how then do you say, Godfrey Yeboah Adame did not do a better job, right? But currently, what Attorney General said, regardless, judgment to be a by. In fact, or go further to say, it is not by emotions. Say about the emotions there, and can say the name you're the personal friend.
Yes.
But when you know, or pepe you're the more mind. So how do you fault the Attorney General on that?
Attorney General, or corner file paper be a minimum to the American say, or no more emotional. On Komu. On take a deep breath. No go play a buy and also the before system. And on also fees or the politics of it. We are not here to be doing politics.
Okay.
We are here to speak truth to power. All having go for the master case when the case I'll be day. Over appeal I'll be winning because the same evidence available in some of the catchery. And would the end so being to a car in Piaka or no chief Yaki for that I go to Yaka. I was here and go to a prison. And that's what
may I say, my entire Hutiawa Emra Yaba will talk to you more about the Constitutional Review Committee, right? Issues of amending your constitution now after 34 years under the Fourth Republic. And I think so recommendation Attorney General Amayati Asiese Abanya Jia to be entire home right ba. May ready accept to be amount. Now I feel what me atiase. We'll be right back after this. Mami, and now I say once again, Mami. Doc, I pay good morning to you. Now, Dr. Amengo, a fantastic economist as well. On one actually, I didn't crack senior high school. I pay or say, I'm teacher. I hear me.
Dr. Amengo,
Mamenchia, I pay. Namenchia, Minia Toku, and then Nancy. And now was your birthday, and belated birthday to you, Philip Toku. Onem Kwalani in our Ewatakwa, I pay more share. Thank you so much once again. Now, so, Andra, the Attorney General on Thursday, Ekasai, giving us an indication of the Abai Aye so far. Now, your constitution, the President Mahama Eba Kunyaso last year, and constituted a constitutional review committee. Mind you, in 2010, Professor Mills at a constitutional review commission, echo around the country, Eka say, a brasso say you be review your constitution, no, na amendment be or yetimi aye. Now, I mean, there were recommendations about na SSR by no etimidi white paper a buy from the government, and then President Mahama so a constitute yet another committee to go into a year constitution a woman call round na afi woman ye Ghana for nyina no adwin. Now some of the key issues are Abai Ajiatum enti according to the Attorney General, or say key highlight of the Attorney General's recommendations on the Constitutional Review Committee. Overall highlights: government considered 206 constitutional reform proposals, 147 amendments to the existing provisions, and 59 entirely new provisions submitted by the Constitutional Review Committee after an extensive public consultation. Now, it goes further to say, government categorized each recommendation into 3 groups. And Oma categorized into 3. The Abaya Jiatum are a year well accepted. And the Constitutional Review Committee, no, a recommended, and Abayin so Ajiatum. And then category 2, no, a year accepted in principle. The Abaya Jiatum in principle, but Abayin Eshe and you say you bet me in such a kakra modification. And I feel not accepted. They are buying engine to Mukra. Now, over some of the key highlights, I say government emphasized that constitutional amendment should only be made where absolutely necessary, while many public policy and administrative reforms would instead be implemented through ordinary legislation. And over the accepted parts of the recommendations now under the presidency, right? Government has accepted, say, 1, you increase the 4-year term. Say a 2 about more mampenye, or mampenye won't fear nine. Constitutional Review Committee no recommend say yemfa afeba kon enkan fear nine, name yemfienum. Enti ye 2 abama or mampenye in fienum echi and yebesan so aqua abatu or subim. Now, sa recommendation ne ba ye no. Abai Aji Ediatum. Point 2, the extension of Parliament's term to match that of the presidency. And to say, Omampenyi, yes, a Sunday the end for 4 years. Ediako 5 years there. Emrashe Bedran so Obi Ebe DMP instead of so beko 4 years, you know. SSM Rashe Bedran so the no SSA na ye no 5 years. Said the beya and your Mampenyi term nina no ebeko head to head. Again, or say the change will apply only to future president and not the incumbent. And there is a caveat, say, and society we and society ebeba in future obi obeba be di president and I said that or mampenyi bi obeba betina konwa so no ana ebetime de saade no aye adwuma rather no enye o mampenyi a ote akonwa so sesei. Now obebie ma or say presidential election calendar. Government accepted holding presidential elections during first week of November on a date determined by the Electoral Commission. And the committee no recommended say 7 December na ye 2 abano. Yenyin free 7 December, ni enfamra November. Na first week within November no yentimin 2 aba. Said ye beya ye 2 aba wia ye benya enough time aban no betimi edi aye transition. The all call any the oba no e betimi edi nkita ho die. Aban agye atum say Ebra ya deto yaba no 7 December no yenyi enfamra first week in November, but date poti ya de beto aba ne de Electoral Commission and the basic na ye wo ho. Now obedie ma election petitions ye to abawie na obi ntene ho ase opeso kokota aban ne committee no agye atomu say petitions must be filed within 14 days. Enti yeto abani wie na wonte ho ase a na wotwe mienu ntemwa no esese wo file o petition e wo Supreme Court. Wo file petition na yenye nsachaye wo mranim na Supreme Court no within 30 days. Nefua no mako aduasa esese Supreme Court no etna petition ne so na omutimi di asem ni nyina ayeden ewie within 30 days, which is equivalently 1 month esese omutimi eyesa ade ni nyina. Now the Electoral Commission must disclose all relevant election data esese ye nsakyraye e wo mranim na ban so agye atum se ye to abawi a data bia e wa abato no bia no esese Electoral Commission ne publish na obia hu de course na niema no emuda ho fine. Afei first no nanka omampanyin entua tax, omampanyin ntua to. Now Constitutional Amendment Committee no I recommend say esese ye mo omampanyin hyase say otua to. Enti government has accepted say ubedi Ghana mampanyin a esese unso otua to. Te say the Ghana ni bia etua to na eto na obetua no eyo mampanyin akatua oje esese otua to wo so allowances I can ho ayede mo mampanyin nyina esese omampanyin etua to wo so. They should also pay applicable indirect taxes. Enti when nye direct tax a yet the free waketua so nko a omampanyin koto ade wo bie baabi ni ade a eto bi eda so bia no esese ye mo mampanyin etua. Now again I had a interest na mabamo so recommendations no ban agye atumbe ne say ye mra se bedwa no dodo a nipa dodo e wo musisi ya no ye mpagya nko 300 se say ye ka say 276 enti esese ye kape edru 300. Now ekodru 300 na nya ade a ye de bibeka ho bi enti ye nya amendment ne sa na endru 300 e ho na esi. Now what it means is that aka mako 24 na yedi aso 276 and so na do 300. Now omampanyin Constitutional Review Committee na gye atumu say 24 na aka ne de they will be elected through proportional representation. Enti proportional representation what it means is that ye behwe ekuaku ahodo enti ekuaku bi to say ema, right? So women must have a proportional representation in parliament. Enti ye behwe say ema no benyo omo chefa within the 24. Afi persons with disability, sabi yenuanoma edi them must have equal proportion in the 24. Now for youth nso SSA youth nso enya equal representation. Enti ye nkonko create additional constituencies. Emeka say ya che constituency we munti no opese obe pre wo ho a obetimi ayden abe pre wo ho enye sa na ebe no. Now finally dual citizenship. First no nanka oye Ghana ni a ukura citizenship of any other country positions bi ho a untimi ni IGP, electoral commissioner, president, MP ni nyina na yesi untimi nye. But say yesi oye dual citizen oye Ghana ni osa ya America ni a position bi a person odi bia obetimi edi. Now apart from the president and then the vice position bi aka including the chief justice, IGP any omo eka ho nyina na opese odi a ubetimi adi. Now the Council of State disagree with this proposal, but government accept it. The tribunal say ye chief justice right a non-renewable and chief justice they appointed wa ye ma 10 years straight say udi di chief justice no o 10 years no eso a ye renew biem emma na afi we free akonya so as chief justice. Now the interest na a be exciting youth is the fact that first nanka your minimum age requirement to become a president so person di omampanyin unless when you fear duanan say omampanyin any aban any Constitutional Review Committee na gye atumu say opese obe pre omampanyin your minimum age no say 35 years enti oye babunu na owo mfie aduasanum right obetimi edo ho asi ho se obe pre omampanyin akonya Ghana for gi utuma na afi watimi ababedi omampanyin abo mamemra so these are some key highlights of a year the aban accepted so far. Aban accepted bim say yento aba enyi MMDCs enti DCs the beto aba you or rather no this is what the government proposed. President ebe nominating independent And depending on President Otia Kodwaso no, obe nominated 5 persons. Nipa num no ye be shortlisted aba miensa, right? Then miensa no ebe converting na afi yetimi amomo akwa abato na manfo no ato aba eyi nipa miensa no emu baako. So these are major ones. I mean aba afi aban say yente a special emolument commission. Omo ne be decide akatua omampanyin judge for MPs any obia ministers omo beje yente eno na afi yenhwe se pepe yobeye adwuma na afi fairness in salary structure no ebetimi aba. So these are many more other recommendations and I mean abai accepted so far. Abo, you are a member of parliament and these are some of the recommendations. I thought say mo promise Ghana for say you deal with Article 71 office holders. Yeah. And is that reflective in some of these, I mean, recommendations by Ajia Tumuyana?
I mean, that's very now. Before I make call and also me clarify, maybe kakra, or sudden a case in home. Minuano, I say the government is overprotecting sudden a temaklo. It is neither here nor there. How are we protecting her? Protecting after the extradition, or by you're handed over to the prison service. The interior minister Abeka says Sabra Menoka say or the Bankukum.
But the transparency of it, I don't know a question.
Minua, when him say Sabra make say your process will be the Nakotum. Are you aware? There are a lot of cases I cost to a court. I did because to every day you will be to every day you be. Are you telling me that all the cases I did amount for to me or money and about wanting to be a one? And I don't see the leg of it. Secondly, the interior minister na Babeka said, or by near the Natum. So are you telling me that Unji interior minister ni until be or your minister of state will try to watch the Ghana for Unina? They are supposed to be Obia or ye attempting in minister. How do you say it in Chi?
The attorney general.
No. Oswafwa or share attempting in so.
Okay.
Say or no and a year a bind judge penny, sorry lawyer penny, and he or say a file list of execution. Now I appeal. How is the state protecting such an individual? Say I dare say case no buy a ruling no buy no. And attorney general say okay, ya jituma and no from so. No mum or say. Or shen sama ye de court dying appeal court no necessarily the appeal court no fast ruling ya on jintum until your file list of execution now appeal ruling no. So how is NDC or the state protecting this individual? Let's understand this. You say Quina and Fofia was yet tonight. The Quina and Fofia was yet tonight. Which and some I have taken my time to read the ruling. Personally, from my personal point of view. Say you will be as a blame no. Mamma evidentially, procedurally, and legally, or based on the file appeal were weak. And we are dealing with the law, and the law is the law. Finally, the Minister for Justice and Attorney General, Mama Yerem, said he's a Minister of Justice.
Of course.
Attempting Swafo.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Obia or attempting and on Yinaho Madia Yakisunungwa. Empo, the Wayam from Swan, and the sort of attempting and Aquaman. But most often than not, because we think that the Attorney General is the prosecutor of the state in Tino. As I said, state in one or both state in Hobay. No.
Who is the state? Individuals.
Nipano some no. Okay. So, as I said, Attorney General, Minister for Justice, the second side.
And that reminds me, sir, as part of a year Constitutional Review Committee, you know, any the Abaya accept, you know, as I said, your chair, Attorney General, no office, no any Minister of Justice, need him. I mean, it has been agreed. Sir, as I see a chip, na Attorney General, no, a prosecution. Whoever that is the Attorney General will have the powers of a Justice of a Supreme Court. And no name Constitutional Review Committee in buying Edia or Mwajatum. Good. But Honorable Brian, so
my member, and the Minister of Justice also must ensure and protect every citizen of this country to make sure, say, will be a wako in conflict with the law, no, has justice. When you attempt until that must also be placed on record. Yemra Constitutional Review, we know. Meanwhile, my man started with a 5-year presidential term. kwanya ye faso ye amanyo sam organa ha no edu ba bia na mu ye kakra mu ya ya ne se ye nyina di adanse se do election year aba adwuma serious bia nko we achenye bia ne ho ebizame amete hei se ya bo medin se minister ochena na edu 2028 do you expect say mejaye constituency no e ma me be di MP no e appoint me minister no na da bia matena nkan say me ye adwuma na naturally yen kind of naturally that will not happen me pese me wakobo makonwa no ho ban he na metimi nya konwa no amasa atena so say minister na mato madwuma so enti ohu say afia ye dey appoint ministers no mama sati say bra mampani yato abama no
yes
ordinarily the first year ni nyina your organization setting up the structures are odebe ebe run waban you appointing ministers, deputy ministers, ambassadors, chief executive, presidential staffers and all that. And by the time omo betena say aye focus say this is the direction we are moving, you know. Not virtually 1 year twem. Achinje bia ni sa asemi. By the time first year ni nyina me can say a precondition to take off.
Okay.
The first year is purely precondition to take off. No serious government business happens. That is the time you are defining the mood, the speed, direction of that government. And that first year, goes into preparatory works, precondition to take off activities in Guam. Then the second year, no, and a take off Nankasa Shas year. The NDC now, we're in our take off year.
Okay. To take off year,
any fee.
Okay.
Into the third year. But unfortunately, you do third year, no, parliamentary and presidential materials are started. Next year, my prime is the menu. What is it? And the Ebasa, he said, wa unuya captain. Onguja wasogu minuya mensa. And at this time, crossed the SCA starting to me. Over a minuya deputy minister of energy. Obenya sound mind at man so. That's what Kobona Konya Hobai. These are natural things.
And then you have a boa Konya Hobai. Oh. You have the ultimate responsibility so be ye you more mine, right? Minuya. There's difference here saying say who your minor Juma as deputy minister. Is that the impression? No. You better do maybe if time permits, you better do Supreme Court ruling, you know, about the delegate system. Because the practicality of the law is very important. The theory is always different from the practice. Oh yes, it's true. My duty to Mother Ghana must always be the supreme. But I must be the MP first and sign a Betna Parliament Ashemara. Asumo my Ghana. Anamewa. You can be the King Solomon. Now Tifia, Parliament here take decision for. You can be the King Solomon. And I'm excited about the fact, so the practicality I'm excited about the fact, Constitutional Review Committee, you know, I can say first of all, Supreme Court judges are Yediomo right? Yen copy 15, right? Yeah. Rather, Abain disagree with that recommendation. Abain said Yengenu 18, right? Yeah. Plus the Chief Justice become 19. Yeah. Again, I'm happy about the fact say Honorable A raised this angle of the conversation because Obi a MP na Odobolas minister. I mean, the focus doing the job as a parliamentarian and doing the job as a minister of state, you know, is questionable. So the Constitutional Review Committee, you know, I recommend they say, first of all, President Biya Konya, your ministers are be appointed, you know, young capino up to 60. You cannot appoint more than 60 ministers. Ubetimi are appointed below 60, but you will not go beyond 60. Again, ministers are yebeyomono. We should agree, sir, majority of them can come from outside parliament. So that not necessarily, sir, as I say, more than 50% of ministers, if we them, a contradicted a Juma assessor or year as a parliamentarian.
And I also move free parliament.
Exactly. So in this context, our free banning that may be sound.
No problem.
You agree with such a recommendation?
No, I don't. And I'll come there. I was on the practicality of the law. We owe our first fidelity to the state. No two ways about it. But believe you me, yenya ye wo hai, ye mu kwan na ya appointing no say. Mpokran ya appointing na free abonten. Na adu election year. Na o person na ban no koso nwene. na bia yasen aboni din biom na obepese onko form koye adwuma na mo obetena nkran not necessarily so free parliament kra ya bold ya bod doctor din so may minister of agric doctor pese na ban no koso mo ni
so obama me minister
doctor pese na ban no wen ni said ye be obekoso atoaso aye minister of agric na do election year na obepese onko form nkoye campaign nipa onimo omo nipa obetimi convince omo niema ese so okoye boa obeka se da bi me nkoye mboa na mo ma mentwentuma nkata meti na me focus o minister of agric no nko a na ye lusu wi a makakotena nchen na bia ban foforo ba oba kwantum it will not work practically that will not work so certainly say you move from 4 years to 5 years we have at least 3 years continuous business and for me that is okay. And the first year, na year precondition to take off. Second year, after na what take you off. Third year, final year. You're to 4 bokra as we speak. When you're to 4 bokra, 2 years of active job. The last year and the first year are always occupied with other extra activities, which is natural. You can't take it away. And the fact that you're appointing independent free, there are a lot of competent people in parliament. Likewise outside.
Yes, but more human conflict, especially when arms independent and separate on their own. And the whole parliament now, as a legislature now, all serve it as a check on the executive, right? You are equally within the executive. So, I mean, the checks and balances, theory in any doctrine, are defeated. I mean, right from the word go. Because semi minister na me double as MP na ma buying na was me president na was so. How do I even criticize? So the assertions are that parliament weaker because of some of these practices, and you disagree with the fact say Nkrofo be making such an argument.
Yes, the reason being that the fact say we are MP now you say appoint to as minister does not mean say we primary responsibility of oversight we lose you. No, we don't lose it. 2, parliament works with committees, and the committees do not run with individuals. They run with a minimum of 18 people. And whatever committee I find myself in parliament, and yet the same ministry na me and there's a lot of people who have that oversight over my ministry. Me wo gender committee. So if today I'm a minister for say agric, there are about 18 people, members of parliament, who have a direct oversight over what I do. Then again, I'm a member of parliament,
but not necessarily say as a same minister no must come from parliament. That is the argument.
Where the minister come from, for me, is not the issue.
Exactly.
So free parliament and as we free outside is not the issue. But we do not lose count of the oversight responsibility now.
Okay.
You can be a minister. There are a lot of ministers. Look at the number of ministers as are now almost free parliament, and look at the fantastic job they are doing. And at any point in time, this year I call recess. We are going to start oversight. What's one committee number? We have written letters to the various committees, so ministries you oversee. Say, look forward this time we'll be coming there. Look forward we'll be doing field visit and we'll be doing all that. And to the fact that the minister for gender, MP, Dr. Momulati, MP does not mean that me co-host me kwa oversight or me colleague in Timenya.
Okay. No, I say, Mami Emra Dr. Hayford I
think I only spoke about the
your time, sir. Okay. Can you say almost on now?
Me, Mami find baby, Minia at the sea. Miss Benena Yadrin, a Fabino, Miss Suse, say a percent yen democracy, no, econema. You do baby, I see it to me, Emma. The different arms, Obia Yenejuma.
It's
nice. So, MP, say, parliament, yes, serious national business. Now, for example, the current 9th parliament, right?
Yes.
The current 9th parliament. When him say, majority, we have 180 MPs. You see, say, even the minority for no crime, so we have to now do tripping, calling people because Ebia Onipano. Or assignment and I agree with you. Some of them are doing fantastic job. Into Onipani himself, may Baba Yemra Shebedani, Majuma ne say meko mra hye bedwuma akoye majuma edu committee adwuma so a makoye me committee adwuma enye say bia bra ye hia say ye be ye mra hye bedwa adwuma no na assignment do kwa amanone ana akoye adwuma be foforo, and that becomes a problem beyond the conflict states. It's at the cost to
the chamber is empty.
Exactly. Apart from the conflict
videos, apart from the conflict,
potential conflict, I think it's to say I thought I bring divided attention. And for me that is number one. The other part, many the recommendation highlight I would say capping members of parliament to 300. No?
Yes.
And me who 300 but reading what the add-ons is going to be, I was happy. This intentionality to bring women onto the equation. Intentional, because look.
But the question is that the 24 remaining, no,
it's supposed clearly
the more youth, the more disability.
It's proportional. There was proportional representation. Yes. It's a proportional idea, and what is the population of women relative to the space available, and then persons with disability, and at least for me, we have made the effort.
Yes, but a honor doc may challenge in here say, where would they come from? Because say we are not electing those people based on constituencies, right? So constituency beyond so
that's
constituency be our youth, constituency be our disabled persons, right? So say you can see a proportion. Now you say how many population of women do we have? And Tiyansha Honi and Kasa and Madu do say Emra. Or more representation than Kasa no be hefa. Because constituency men now be you more free. And then one more number represent you because who represent him mana or baby belonging to a registered constituency. And the MP wo hodada.
Correct.
But would I make another yes. And there is even a women's caucus in parliament as well. Currently.
What is the proportion?
What is the proportion?
Members
aside the proportion, are representing in which instance? Are they representing feminist groups and more represented here? That is where my confusion
and that is where the operationalization issue, that conversation must be had. I believe, sir, is the first step of getting young people's voices. Look, whether we like it or not, the young people have a voice, and the way they kind of bring energy they bring onto the table is different. And let's get them. But how do we get them? That is a big challenge.
That is a big challenge because
I think, sir,
again, doc, young kase you best select or more. Yes, they will be elected. And elect or more, and you're free here, right? Demarcations, demographies now, any demarcations of the constituencies. As it stands, everybody, every voter belonging to a certain constituency. Right? I create electoral areas near the
I get you.
And see, Omube free him Anna Abba.
Yeah.
And then how are they going to represent their people? A banner allocation of resources. How do you allocate resources? If you are not careful, one constituencies with 2 MPs.
Taking 2 common fund into one.
Right? And see, a banner the same common fund now, the elected MP, no, Obama, Sani Pano, rep, so the same resource.
So I think,
how would this be worked out?
What is the electability part, that is what is potentially going to create issues. But it's not the first time. I know, sir, Rwanda has something similar. I think Kenya also has something. And we may have to learn from what other people have done. But I think for them, it's an appointment. It's dedicated seat for youth. And they look at some particular, there should be a defined framework, a bit guide how we get people. But we need to think through a bit more. But I think about election, maybe we can learn from what we have done with the Council of State. They have regional representation. But then the question of proportionality
representation
comes in and all that, because there's 24 seats. Exactly. And that is where the challenge is. But we need to think through a bit about this. And
I would have preferred being an upper chamber.
Yes.
I would have preferred that.
Just look at
the proportional sharing.
Back to practicality. Sometimes the law can be fine, but its applicability on the ground is a different issue.
Yeah.
On resource allocation, the MP will become East.
Yes.
na yesi o ye nyini pafoforo emfiri brekum Easter obegina ho amamba
as a near ye ka se wonim e ma dodo e wo constituency
fantastic na ye yi no na ya mama common fund yeah bia ya mama asamka ya mama 100,000 ya mama also 100,000 my joining constituency ye be free ho so what it means is that there's going to be more resources for my people than the other
constituencies.
But that person is not representing your constituency.
So all representing white.
The women constituency is a national constituency. I get you. How do we allocate resources? That's a question that we also have to think about. So, but
we're not
because the fact of few constituency doesn't mean say a man or constituency not representing one. A privilege or a position for a man to have female voices. What does that mean? Would they come to parliament without resource allocation? Is this just to be at the table, or they have the resources to be able to do specific things for women? We need to interrogate a bit more.
Okay.
But interestingly, it's been accepted.
Yes, it's been accepted. Yes.
That is an interesting part. But we need to. I don't think it is late. We need to have a conversation around this. And
so the Attorney General says they will form an implementation committee.
Exactly.
In fact, Jumane started from October, because almost per se. Referendum SSA should be part of the 2027 district assembly election, local government elections. You know? Right. So, I mean, those are the modalities.
But the biggest challenge I have, Speaker, the biggest challenge I have in the recommendation, the election of MMDCs.
Yes.
I am all for election of MMDCs. But if the president is still going to be the one appointing five people and they will vet them and bring it to 3.
The same thing.
It's the same thing, literally. But if you made it open, na enipa esuse
obiya betimi
apply. Then in that case, sabe onipa no work on so a teacher ni kwan officer me wonim de metimi aye adwuma yi e wo me mpesua so then they will put themselves for. But as it is now no there, vet no kura say wo de wo ba na vet no ye na say you make me disqualify on certain frames excuses. And that is my biggest challenge. But for a number of the recommendations of the about accepting, I think it's in good taste.
Okay.
And I like
now Obi has sent them a message. So sorry, Emmanuel said, good morning, Mr. Speaker. I've not heard anything about the cancellation of ex gratia. Is it not part of the recommendation? Recommendation we need there. They are kind so far there. What the government has decided to do, they say, forming especially a monument commission. Until almost big decide. That is what it is. The ex gratia no any cancellation beyond where we report him rather no almost say yenti especially emolument commissioner almost be determine how much a president will take, how much a minister will take, how much electoral commissioner will take, plus the chairperson of the NCC, right? NCC they say it brings to question why she is under Article 71 office holder, because NCC as we speak now, but as I saw,
there's one interesting thing, maybe if many are betting their Canadian one, is about the retirement age, moving from 60 to 70.
70, okay.
That's quite. Maybe say many anomono. My starting free 300 capital. Tama ye more edgy ideas and I say a proposal toward the CIC's work. The United Party ye submitted.
Okay, Modia Koye.
Edia Koye na near him says I deal with your more can we know. A bay should ye can common take a second look at the Article 63, 4 and Article 64. As you Article 63 no 4 now when there is a runoff. All the other smaller parties, or say Moko Cat Baku, short as here. Tiania can say there has to be a way all the political parties that will take part in an election. You bring up your representation at parliament.
Okay.
It's our 24-year working. At the end of the church, say parties bear 20 in a contest. What you can validate some correct political parties. What more based on the a number of votes omunya so unya kese so they based on obenya two ebenya wa nan ka be all to have their input so they must take a second look at it
South Africa
South African system you know yeah say aban so oba be a implementation committee we will still go and make this forceful argument say and they bet me democracy no
yeah, allow smaller parties.
Obi amede.
Election are based on voters.
Farmer seats. And I said, no, na woka say ye my party will be represented here. Then
it's fair enough.
You would have gotten that electoral college, you know. Near the Abba. Your friend is Okofa MMDC. Na mene dog yagi. Yem again and go fusuru. Say on count party undiana. And look at the pressure better so. Because I won't come me party una man for not to Obama wa. And you development better. Short say. And it made me feel say na obi obe contest bia. The MMDC in the penny have been any mom headache.
You're right.
That's short listing of 5 no. Why ba na go ye free na. Why ba na di ko shem. Ti mama problems kese. Mo obi anko to be. You be win no. O medi o mane o medi mpotem nanim. That's all. Na onya adwuma o yan tie ho ase ne ntumi nya adwuma. Maybe that be make say system of education no. E ka on ntumi nya adwuma mom. Obi a president ba be first. Ti individualism.
Teamwork
no nya dey any ho. Age limit whether 30 or 40. General Zoban what is say? 27. E grade 2000 no be prior pranachi. Enkokrafo so ba omtumi ebone we kufado oba yi
na pesa oba
akotu me amna ha and it's not too much about the age it's about the competence level of the person you know more competent maybe we have a election and said a competent person emma the United Party say you be dey encourage election over the contest about you take it so you dey say Kwame you are competent. I how be win election. When I go contest, you have an election. No be kunya galamsi. I know I sika. And they are about kwechi. No, no chiaba. No be winning. No. It's not going to happen like that. Now, mo di amendment tiasi ano yesa. Dual citizens now is on here no.
I'm the holding position.
A selfish agenda.
Omo abokwan dey amom ma no.
Omo ekroma ye investigation yankofo bebrea eye dey di positions no. Omo dual citizenship. And it omo tena ho no ma kekere mra. Also person ye IGP for Ghana. Yes, so person that's so good America citizens are renounce that. How can you serve two masters? Is it too difficult? One more letter say am put it.
I'm just imagining say Ghana your defense minister.
No, yeah, America.
You're a citizen of Ghana. No, sir, citizen of, US and UK.
How?
Now, yeah, I'm beginning now. I
mean, when one day I did this idea, when you blade. I'm Benny Missamo, and a chatted on the chasm. We won't allow it because they are selfish. We are Ghana, we are Ghana. I tell you to compare because school Netherlands. Maybe I know the star a little bit at time, we are Ghana. Yamin did to a bomb Ghana. Now the only house I got joy, yes, I have a cow, and I know someone Yami more got the British passport to Janifri Ruma.
As a mobile
Skytree. Say the Ghana, the Baco. We are found. No, and this yes, so sad your man. So, Eddie Biodoka, almost a term 5 years.
5 years. And
a separation of ministers also only parliamentarian. You see, we must go back to history. 79 from 60s, but now minister, you can't be a parliamentarian. Let's get it straight. And people always misinformed say 1979 the entire budget yam pass and they say na essence na ministers no and parliamentarians. No, that was not the case. Parliament budget was defective. Ultimately omo pass it. And when they the basis in say majority must be ministers so that you could take a decision or a cabinet a bahana mo masa be rubber stamp. Then they now check and balances no.
It defeated that doctrine no.
What's so here because
we are 276.
Also, yeah, parliamentary, look, Kosemra, Now, if you go to all the ministries, everyone is minister now, so directors in the woman, the year Juman. Minister, or no, or sector, no crown, when you move match it. Short, yes, and in your same year, you call a directors or more civil servants, so or more year Jumapa, and then the mamma cose a monument committee now, Martiano, a total waste of every time. I don't know for civil servants rank. The sovereignty of this country resides in the people. Who you chief public servant, who now also for him, I don't know how you treat you special. It even defeats the idea of what is the Alman jet too.
Yeah.
And then just after the Muslim jet too. But what was that to my one in a jet? I don't know how you jet too. I did a quack check, I can tell some more. What do you have special treat? Yeah, dear, Quapiana boy. Yeah, dear, if you have more fair wages. That will be resistant with the bloodiness.
And say about the public ethics.
Ethics
Commission. What the mandate to prosecute and investigate issues.
Oh, so
I don't know. Maybe someone say a non special prosecutor difference.
Yeah, they can say better corruptions are.
Any shraj difference.
Oh, so I'm coming in a boom. Many institutions like shraj wa yukuwa. Your friend is a social special prosecutor, and yet a monk line or more enactment in right here, man. You have to mean define the idea for corruption. Say, your cousin, we are ABCD a corruption. Now, young Attorney General and the Ministry of Justice, because Attorney General or so then who are obey what is right.
Okay.
On the BJ.
Very well. So, my men now say, almost just 30 seconds in the time now, so now for no see na yonko. The other catch all.
Many of me, Oshe Constitution Review Committee on report on Modia Babantina. So I agree with a lot of them. Some of them, the implementation have a challenge with it. It has just come.
Okay.
And you'll see how we're going to realign some of them, especially about the age limit of Obia or also Ghana. Now it's just 70 years. For me, 70 years is too far. At least 65 is fine, but here the retirement no free 60 they are 70. Ghana here brabo ene ye nuana yedia obinya 70 years nuana
wabre
I made them no see them mamencha me constituency.
Okay.
Adesha wo brekum is mechobia me constituency chama yero Andrews hene adwumaden a oboye
amana ye adwumani
eta mechima me ba eti mechiano any mpanifo aka nyina.
Okay, no, just 30 seconds the time as wrap up.
I think it's that bia me can say on my Ghana and nti and 70 bi wo ho a moma ye nwi enye ye nkasa ye ho ya mo no enchirima ene se ne be ya dachi ye be bu ye nya hwe echi ne aka se enya kwanya no ye nya esfata. That's it.
Okay. Mame enda mo nyina say once again na so say my family time. Mame enda mo nyina say arope mame nchia eye me teacher Dr. Mengo or a senior research scientist at CSIR.
Oh really?
Yes, arope mame nchia. Doc, good morning. I'm grateful. Sir also oboa na wotete ye na yemfa wonsi ha adomdom ye ne a da se ne ye besan so ababim na me na production team ni nyina no ase ba hye so say from Monday to Friday unyame ewo eye Onu FM so on 95.1 enti enjoyada we'll meet again on radio, but until then have a wonderful weekend. Good morning Ghana.
TV, you're gonna Onya TV, you're gonna